much. I've been hearing a lot of Amazon, being the front runner of the negotiations, but like they've been working together. They just, Eddie's just, trying to make that papers, and he's trying not to make things, because if they're in the room together, they probably wouldn't get along.
Yeah,
Um, but they're probably working with each other. What's the word I'm looking for? They're being cordial, you know, with,
yeah,
and they're making good business with each other because um, they the way they match make, it's fan friendly, and they don't care about all these O's. I can talk about who just lost too, but we'll get to that later. But they're known for taking away people's O's because they really test those guys, and um, yeah, man, I just like the way they match make. They have good matchmakers, and Eddie Hearn's just a hustler, bro. I fucking love his consistency with this. I didn't mind like I wouldn't have mind if he would have been like the front runner of talks with Showtime and all that, because he's consistent and he'll give us what we want. But there's a reason why they also protect fighters. And yeah, they're just trying to protect their money. People like Tank. You know, they're really uh protecting Tank to in a sense where he I think he's capped out at 140. He's knocking everyone out at 140. Just 147. You can't mess with any of those dogs. But shit like that, they protect their fighters, So
yeah. No, I would say this. I think one of the well, let's put it like this: Amazon Prime and PBC supposedly are in talks, or at least that's the rumor, right?
mhm.
And I feel like if Amazon is smart, and I'm pretty sure they're fucking smart, they don't sign and they don't make a deal with PBC. That would be one of the biggest mistakes that they can do, because if you just look at this year, yeah, you're gonna be like, yeah, PBC is doing great numbers. Look what they
I'm
did
going
with
live.
Ryan
You better
versus Tank.
behave.
Yeah,
Look what they did. Ryan versus Tank. Look what they did with Canelo and Jermell Charlo. But in reality, those two fighters aren't even theirs. You see what I'm
mhm.
saying? So if if Amazon is smart, and I think they are, right?
Hopefully,
Signing with the PBC is there's a reason why Showtime left them. That's just all I'm gonna say. And I know Amazon is trying to bring in and have that Amazon Prime and their networks and their shows and every single thing that they're trying to do and build up like an extreme powerful house, but PBC ain't it. And you said something about Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn one time had a deal with Showtime. They had Anthony
oh, did
Joshua,
he?
but it was kind of like showcasing Anthony Joshua once, and
Oh,
then
okay.
eventually they just landed the zone deal, right? The billion
So
dollar deal.
they were getting their cut, pretty much.
Yeah, not really. It was just kind of like a little partnership.
Oh, okay.
And so the title, will Oscar finally work with Eddie Hearn? Look, like you said, Eddie Hearn is the best promoter out of all of them,
Hmm.
but he just doesn't have the best fighters, you
Yeah.
see. And he's a hustler because he allows himself to be accessible to the fans and to the interviews, and he's there doing
Yeah,
the
I like him for that.
rounds, right? Bob
Hmm.
Arum, Oscar De La Hoya, they don't really do that. So that's one of the things about Eddie is that he's willing to be ruthless, and he's got that young man energy. Like, it's
Hmm.
kind of like a passionate fan. Where
Hmm.
Oscar, he doesn't really have a big stable, but his stable are fucking quality. Like if you look at all the fights that he's had this year, they're probably the best fucking fights or fights of the year. PBC just has the quote unquote popular fighters,
Yeah.
right? But if you compare them to what Top Rank has, like PBC doesn't really have anybody, and as you saw, their talent just doesn't even speak up in terms of like a pound for pound list. Look what Errol Spence, right? Look at all their big fights this year. None of those were their fighters. Canelo is not really a PBC fighter. Ryan Garcia, Terrence Bud Crawford, and they're just killing all their stable. So again, if I'm Amazon Prime, I'm fucking walking. I'm like, you have a good lineup, but you guys, there's a reason why, like, you guys lost all that network deals with Bounce, Spike
Mm.
TV, Fox deal. Everybody walked away. Now, why is that? And
Because
again,
Amazon has a big influx of money, bro. They can change. They get everyone paid because of that. and they're like the bidding favorites right now or something like that. So they somebody got to outbid fucking Jeff Bezos, bro. And that's the thing. He don't. I mean, who's to say Amazon got guys that know boxing? You know, so hopefully they do got hired. Hopefully they did hire some guys that representatives that know their shit in the business of boxing. Because I mean, like you said, they're not. They're in talks of with the zone, but they're not the top tier fighters. Like you said, they're all with PBC. You know, they're just the prize fighters. They're the the belt. Pretty much all the belts are over there. You know, so not all of them, but most of them, and the welterweight and all that shit. So yeah, bro. I mean, will Oscar work with the zone with Eddie Hearn? Uh, I could see it. I mean, they got the guys. They got some guys to upset the some big names, bro. Honestly, you got that's Sabril. No, I was gonna say Sabril Matias, but he's actually over there in PBC, correct?
Yeah, so you got to look at it like this. It's kind of like they have John Ryder versus Jaime Munguia. They have Edgar
Mm.
Morengo versus Jaime Munguia. Danny Jacobs versus Jaime Munguia, right? You want to talk about welterweights? Are they going to book Conor Benn versus Virgil Ortiz? Conor Benn versus Alexis Rocha? Those are kind of like the fighters more or less that they can make. They did make Sordo versus Bivol. So there's a couple of lists of fighters and big fights that they can make. But again, there's this whole like I don't know struggle that Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn have been having with one another, and it started all over Canelo Alvarez. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be pretty interesting to see if they can work together because there's some fights and money that they're leaving off the table. But yeah, we'll see. But anyway, welcome in, Speed. You and Joe are gonna, like I said, you guys are gonna carry over the podcast. I'm just gonna hop in and hop out, and then y'all do your thing.
All right, all right, all right. Uh, Tapping in into my inner David Wooderson. How you doing, Drew?
Good, man. Just got back from the gym. Uh, yeah, man. It's been a long day. It's getting busy at work again, so I pretty much for not didn't force myself to be here because I have a lot to say. I did have a lot to say, but then now I feel like I let it all out. I'm like I'm trying to think right now. Because a lot has happened since we went live last time. So
Yeah,
yeah, man.
go for it, man. Hey,
Yeah, I
spill
was
the
thinking
beans, bro.
I was watching the fights, the Lee Wood fight, and
Hmm.
I'm thinking, uh, damn, like I forgot Rick showed me a huge parlay that he almost hit. I looked back on it and I realized he already lost that. He lost to the Resendez fight. I was pretty pumped for him. I was like, felt like I was about to win that bet with you, bro. I was like, man, because yeah, I was pumped, bro. For you, but Warrington didn't, couldn't. He didn't really edge him out. I mean, that looked worse. They did stop the fight, correct? I kind of like was in and out.
Yeah, they stopped the fight.
Yeah, that was good.
Warrington was very dominant. He brought his style. He was being very effective. Um, Lee Wood is just that guy that you're beating him until you're not, and when you're not, it's because he knocked you out. Um, Lee Wood is probably the most exciting 126 pounder currently because although he's lost a couple, he lost a couple to what was it, Bronco Lara, or I think Warrington and Lee Wood share that fighter, the Mexican Lara, and he's beaten them both if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, he's just a kind of guy that you're beating him until you're not. I mean, did you see that fight of the year contender between him and Mick Condon about, I don't know, 2 years ago?
McConley got knocked out, didn't he?
Incredible.
Right.
That
Yeah.
was one of my favorite fights of all time because it had
Really.
so much action. It was back and forth. Everybody just came with that grit. They both fought styles that they really didn't have to, right? Like Mick Conlon is usually a very fleet of foot fighter that's great on the back foot and moving and making you miss. And this time he decided to just tuck in his chin and just go for broke and piece up Lee Wood. And he was doing very good at it, just like Josh Warrington was. But then Josh Warrington has that kind of power that just uh, tips everything his way very quickly. And yep, you're right. Knocked, well, he knocked down and seriously hurt um, Josh Warrington. And now the controversy, of course, is that Josh Warrington and his camp are saying that it was a premature stoppage.
Mm.
I don't think so. I don't know what you think about that, but I agree with you. There's so much that we need to talk about um,
It
because
was a
so
good
much has
stoppage.
happened.
It was a good stoppage. I think Lee Wood had him figured out already. I think he knew exactly what he needed to do. So I think yeah, man, I should have bet that. I was like kind of iffy on that, but man, the fight did not show the odds. Like it wasn't an ass it was an ass whooping, but it was just a good fight up until Josh Warrington's defense isn't up to par. So I think yeah, man, that fight was good, and that was the main event right there.
Hmm.
I know I was watching. I think it was Terry Harper.
Hmm.
She ended up getting the
Cecilia
decision.
Breakers. No, they tied. I think you're right. One judge gave it for Terry Harper, and then the other two, they had it a draw, so it was a majority draw. That's what.
Oh shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn.
So that's the other thing that happened. That
Mhm.
everybody seemed to have an opinion about that result because some people actually had the Queen Cecilia Breakers as the winner. Other
Mhm.
people had Terry Harper as the winner. But and to tell you the truth, I actually thought that it was a draw.
Really? Yeah, I didn't. I watched that one in and out. Harper just looks like the same fighter. She doesn't really take over the fight. She just kind of consistent with her jab and her defense. But
Mhm.
she's really
She sucks.
yeah. No, 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 no. I mean, she knows how to fight, bro. That's the thing. It's her
Hell
IQ.
no.
She can't change it up. Like I haven't seen her change it up. She's just monotone, bro. Like a monotone fighter. But yeah, no, no, she's born fighter, bro.
Now
Kind
I'm
of
not
right.
gonna lie. Ever since Alicia Baumgartner knocked some senses into her, she's never been that same good fighter. Like,
Yeah, she's scared or something. That like
yeah,
that
hell yeah,
that made her kind of scared to like try the shit that she doesn't normally try in a fight.
Mhm.
That kind of made her one dimensional. That's the thing. A bad knockout in your career
Mhm.
will permanently give you this, not like PTSD, but like you're scared to like kind of get connected in a way where where you kind of gave yourself a puncher's chance in the way out. But
absolutely. That's more or less what's been happening to Erickson Lubin. You know what I mean?
hmm yeah, I
Hell
mean
yeah.
that's what makes him good. That's a blessing, or that's a good thing. But then that's also like his curse. That
Let me
makes him
let me ask
available.
you. Let me ask you something. So we talked about going back a little bit to Amazon Prime and things of this nature. So for a really long time, since HBO was stopped promoting and televising boxing, we had never seen Jim Lampley, right? Jim Lampley was just, where did he go? We know where Max Kellerman went. He went on with
Man, now that you
ESPN. He
mentioned,
went on with Stephen A. Smith.
uh-huh.
So he had a show, Max Boxing After Dark, with ESPN. But is this resurgence of Jim Lampley, commentating the Canelo fight? Is that kind of letting us know of a little microcosm of what's to come with Amazon Prime? Like, are they
Bro,
going to sign PBC?
I
Are
was
they going
gonna
to
tell
bring
you.
Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman? You feel me?
So I've been hearing a lot about that because well, there's like video. There's a lot of videos, interviews of him uh after the Canelo fight, and just the way he's like talking about the fight. He's like, they're like, "What do you think about the fight?" And he's like, "Vintage Canelo." And I was like, "Man, I miss that. I miss that
Hell yeah.
Lampy. Just the way he was getting interviewed, like, and it felt like he was doing like a play for us. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
you should watch that. Like, I'm not sure if you watched it, but they asked him about the fight, and he was like, "Vintage Canelo. And I was like, fuck, man, he's good with his words, man. I miss that shit. But yeah, no, I've been hearing a lot of fucking rumors about that Jim Lampy going in. Once this new wave of whoever gets all these fights, or whichever network gets the fucking purse win or whatever. Wins
Yeah,
the purse
so
bid.
so besides seeing Jim Lampley maybe coming back and signing with Amazon Prime, for instance, Amazon Prime this year, they got the NFL, right? They got the Thursday night football games. Have you been impressed?
No.
With the content, like with their
So
aspect of promotion, have you been like when I look at
no.
Thursday night football games, there has not been one this year that I'm like rubbing my hands and I'm like, oh my god, that game was
Oh,
fucking amazing.
okay, you're talking about that. So you're
Yeah, so like
so mhm.
basically, is that what's to come with boxing and PBC? Like, do you care to pay? You know what I mean?
This is the thing. Yeah, like it's just the timing of those games, because we had the Niners play the Giants. I mean, that wasn't a great game either, actually. Fuck. But I don't know. I think it has to do with just the timing. They do have some upcoming games that are great, but the thing that sucks about Amazon, and it's a fucking trend that they have with whoever's hiring their broadcasters, or I don't know who or what, but they're really disorganized. Like it's been a really bad. It's been kind of like you can tell like the commentators
Yeah.
aren't really like, it doesn't sound like Sunday Night Football or what it was before. Sunday Night Football is actually, they have the same commentator on Sunday Night Football on Thursday Night Football.
So
But
who's that? Like Bob Costas or something?
yeah, no, it's some, I forgot his name, Michael something. But Collinsworth only does Sunday night, and then this other dude that does college football does Thursday night with him. So
Uh,
but you could tell that the college guy that's in on Thursday night football, he doesn't know like he knows football, but he came from college football. Like
Wait,
he's
you're
a
not talking about Gus Johnson, right? And
no,
Stokely. Wait, I was
no,
about to say because Gus Johnson's fucking amazing, bro.
not him. Like this guy's
Okay.
solely just like the way he talks is just like you're talking to him, like he talks. I don't know. He just doesn't know, like he doesn't know their names. He's not good with names. Like it's just bad, bro. And they've been like this for the past 2 years. Never even bothered to change it up. And they've actually gotten headlines about like bad ratings on their fucking on their shows, because it's a combination of that and and their games. Because Ryan Fitzpatrick sucks, bro. They're saying that he's horrible, bro. Like he's just a kid, bro. Like he's just like they're just bad at hiring people, and that doesn't make me confident in them hiring good boxing analysts. So I mean, they could, if they bring in Jim Lampy, I want them to bring in Roy Jones Jr. You know, I want Roy
Got you.
Jones Jr. Like that's who I miss, those two guys right there, because just Roy Jones is so authentic, and just I miss him. So like I will always remember him,
I'm
like
not gonna lie.
saying,
I never
I
really
don't think
think
that would happen, guys.
I
yeah,
wasn't too
That
high on
combo,
Roy
I don't
Jones.
think they would bring him on because that just harkens back too much to HBO and that kind of product. They would have to go innovative. Innovative. They would have to get new faces. It would just be maybe Jim Lampley because he's a legend and he
I wouldn't
does
mind him.
epitomize. Yeah, I wouldn't mind him either because Jim Lampley epitomizes boxing commentary, the
Mhm.
romantic side of boxing. But as much as I love Roy Jones Jr., and I think you're right, and your analysis of him, I think he's a good commentator, fair enough, and an insightful and involved fighter. He's obviously able to provide an opinion that's valid. But to put them both together would just bring back memories of a product that is no longer. Uh, existent, but it would represent mostly the continuation of a company, a product that has nothing to do with Amazon.
Yeah, no, I think Jim Lampy would be great. It's just I just want him to have good chemistry with the guy next to him, and I don't want them to kind of like conflict each other. Like um I don't like the way Sergio Mora. Like I like Sergio Mora. I just don't think he's a good partner with whoever that guy is. I forget his name. Like they disagree way too much, and they kind of like I don't know. They don't like complement each other too well, and I feel like Roy Jones and Lampy like they finish each other's sentences. You know, they like the way Roy Jones Barney styles it for you for the audience. Like that's what I remember him for. Like he would just say like boom right down the pot. You know, like just him saying that type of shit with his little with his country, you know, accent. Like that's the shit that I missed. And then Lampy just being himself, you know, and they just a good combination, you know. I guess I wouldn't mind seeing a new face next to Roy Jones because I think he's a little busy, right? I think he trains some guys. Um, so he looks like a busy man, but I think he had to get busy because you know he got let go. I mean, HBO was not anymore. You know, it didn't exist anymore. So yeah, Jim Lampy. Give me, what about the Showtime guys? Those guys, one of those guys seem to have like a good voice of boxing, you know,
Yeah, I wouldn't mind
and those
seeing
one of those guys.
Jim Lampley and Al Bernstein
Yeah,
together.
Al Bernstein's good.
Ronaldo. Oh, it's the Coke Brita controversy in the state of
Yeah,
Texas. I like him. I
yeah.
like him. I mean, they got. Imagine this, bro. You have Jim Lampley, Max Kellerman, and Paulie Malignaggi. Like, come
I like
on, bro.
Paulie. I like
Wow,
Paulie.
what if they bring in Teddy Atlas? You know what I'm saying?
That's a good one. I
So,
like Paulie.
like Amazon, they have a lot to work with. But here's the problem, and it doesn't matter who is distributing, if it's Bounce TV, Spike TV, True TV, NBC, ABC, Fox, Showtime. The problem is PBC, bro. The problem is Al Heyman. The problem is who the fuck is Tom Brown? Who is their promoter to actually push and build up PBC fighters? You see, because if it wasn't Ryan Garcia asking and being so adamant and adherent to all the stipulations of PBC and Tarante's stipulations on the contract, that fight doesn't that fight doesn't happen. You see, if it isn't for Errol Spence giving everything, quote unquote transparency to Bud Crawford walked away. If Canelo doesn't sign with Showtime, none of like PBC has nothing to show. So this is what I'm saying. It doesn't matter if Amazon is the streaming or DAZN tries to outbid them. The problem is PBC doesn't have a promoter, bro. And a promoter is very important because let's say, for instance, they brought in Jake Paul, right? Jake Paul might not know how to be a promoter in terms of promoting other fighters, but at least when it comes down to himself and Amanda Serrano, he's done a pretty good fucking job. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Now, could Jake Paul do it in a larger scale where he has a list of 100 fucking boxing employees? Like in terms of okay, I have MVP promotions, most valuable promotions. I have Errol Spence, Bud Crawford, all these guys under my promotional banner. Can he actually promote all those guys? And honestly, I don't really know. You see what I'm saying? Because to be able to promote yourself, yeah, these guys, the Paul brothers, they're willing to do just about fucking anything. But just because you're willing to do it for yourself doesn't mean other people are going to be accessible, and adhere to fucking giving you consent to filming them everywhere, every single step that they go.
yeah. No, I think Jake. People underestimate Jake's fucking star power, bro, because it's really just the dumb people that don't know boxing that actually are watching him. You know, so it's a love hate thing because people say, like people boxing needs more fans regardless. So he brings in just a whole different type of people that come in, similar to what Brian brings in. But his is more of a combination of the famous people and the
Wait.
people.
Same as who brings in?
Ryan Garcia.
Oh, Ryan Garcia. I
Yeah,
thought you
because
said.
he's
All right.
he's a YouTube fighter as well. So
Yeah.
it's just the star power with these guys. I think eventually they're gonna have to say they can't say no to him. Um, like you're talking about Serrano, he's made her a fucking millionaire. So fighters aren't gonna say no to being at least on the undercard of him. It's just what the hard part is having the big names having the big
Well,
names on his card, because you heard Canelo even say, I think I mentioned this on the last one, like on last podcast, he said in 2 years, I'll be willing to fight him because now he sees his numbers. Now he
Yeah.
sees that, hey, I can take you serious in a sense where we can make money together. Not I'm gonna fucking win the world belt. I'm a belt. We're gonna put the belt on the line, type of shit. This is like strictly for like money. So
So
yeah,
let me ask you this: is Jake Paul's, I guess, stay in boxing, has it been beneficial for boxing, or has it just been beneficial for himself? Like, for instance, whatever fan base that he brought along in terms of the social media world, Instagram or YouTube following, his following, has it trickled over to new fans to the sport of boxing? Like, for instance, when you look at Deion Sanders, college football, and him popularizing Colorado University, the Colorado Buffaloes, and their network and their contract, and they're being the most televised, has it carried over to any other teams? And I'm gonna say no, right?
no,
So Jake's Paul's influence is just for Jake himself. Like you
yeah,
did say, Amanda Serrano became a millionaire, but she became a millionaire because Jake Paul basically deducted over more than $1 million of his purse and gave it to Amanda. That doesn't
mm,
necessarily mean Amanda's now a household name and she's carrying
right.
over her own. You know what I mean? She's doing. Is she like? Are her
He really
numbers
just made
like?
him
You know what I
did her a
mean?
favor. Yeah,
Yeah.
she really just did her a favor, bro. So I mean,
What do you
Yeah,
think
but you
about
see,
that, Steve?
yeah, but you see, guys, when he did that, right? It was it made the whole round of the news. Everybody was talking about that. It brought a lot of controversy, a lot of things to talk about because, like the homie Ricky mentioned, he was deducting money from his own pay
I didn't know that.
to give it to one of his fight. No, he did
Yeah.
because I mean, um, because he wanted to make the fights happen. Um, he wanted to be the benefactor for the sport of boxing in general, but in particular for female boxing. He wanted to be that guy that's trying to say something to the effect that women should be as handsomely rewarded as men. Now we know that that's a very controversial way of looking at the sport because nobody's trying to rip off the ladies, right? It's just that this is like any other product in a consumerist uh economic foundation. You get paid by how many butts you put in those seats. And the fact of the matter is, women's boxing is rather nascent side of the sport that's barely getting its wind behind its wings. It's starting to pick up, but nonetheless, you cannot ever fill up a stadium of all women uh, fans watching all women boxing.
If there was, then
Men,
I'd want to be there. I was like, oh, there's nothing but women there. I'm gonna go.
see, I like this guy's thinking.
So let me ask you
Yeah,
guys
but
this.
no. So what I'm saying, homie Ricky, is this: um, when he made sure that he spoke about paying women fairly, everybody started to talk about it. So now you had all these people that don't care about boxing in particular, but care more about women's rights and equality and stuff like that, that are now looking at the sport. So what he's doing, in a sense, is bringing eyes and attention to his own product, right? So,
Right.
but yes, I agree with the homie Ricky. I don't think it's necessarily bringing new fans to the
Yeah,
sport, like the guys that watch YouTube and watch him do pranks and run around from the cops and stuff like that. I don't think they're all of a sudden becoming boxing fans because Jake is fighting MMA fighters. I don't think so. Nonetheless, I don't think it hurts.
yeah. I think what was I gonna say? Fucking Jake Paul, bro. You're right. And just thinking about that, it's just beneficial for him because it's not like he's helping out other like professional fighters. Really, I mean, he's not like it'll be one thing. I was thinking about this. It would be one thing if you would have helped, if you would actually start in the amateurs. If you were to start in the amateurs first and work his way up, and then even like help out other amateurs get to tournaments, like help them fucking come up. Don't help out the people who already have opportunity, because that's what people are fighting for is opportunity. And I feel like when they're in the amateurs, the most of the time, bro, they can't afford to like stay out. Say it's a 3 day tournament. I've heard plenty of times where like they drop out, and they're like the number one ranked guy in the tournament, but they drop out because they couldn't afford to stay there the extra 2 days. They just wanted to like go to the tournament, you know. So it's shit like that, bro. Like it's really like the parents too. Like it's up to the parents, you
Hmm.
know. So I would say help out like these amateurs first, because then when they come up, and you can choose who you want to like support, because I support an amateur and I think he's gonna do good, but there's a chance that he can like, not do as great, like, be as good as he thinks he was, God
Hmm.
forbid, I think he will do great, but it's the support that the amateurs need, these professional fighters that are already doing things, they already have eyes on them, help out the guys coming up. I think it would be talking a lot differently of Jake Paul, to be honest, you know. So
Yeah,
that's my
but
take on that.
I don't necessarily want Jake Paul to get the credit for saving the sport, right? He can do whatever he wants. I think the most important thing that Jake Paul brings to the sport of boxing is the promotionability of the self, right? He's a hustler, and he's always promoting himself. He's always making content. He's always doing something to get eyes to his product, to his persona. He's always trying to ingratiate himself with his fan base,
And
and
he's actually a
to
good boxer.
yeah, I think he's a very quickly he's a boxer that's learning the sport quick enough. And it's showing, right? I mean, like I always say, you cannot just get anybody to beat somebody like Tyron Woodley from out the street
Mhm.
with 2 fights under your belt fighting
Bro,
YouTubers. You can't
it's
do that.
I think someone like Jake Paul can actually win like a state Golden Gloves. But dude, I've seen it like with that kid Keone Washington that I see. He
Hmm.
was dominating, and then boom, gets to the national level. Dudes are just like him, moving around just like him, his size, his hand speed, just like him. And it's
Hmm.
crazy. There's literally an opponent out there for you, and that's matched up to you. I seen that. I was like, man, there's always someone good in your division. You think you're the best. There's someone out there that looks similar to you. You just got to make better decisions. It's all IQ after that. You know.
Yeah, no, I don't think. Look, I'll put it to you like this.
Hmm.
Speed was saying that he promotes himself relatively well and only himself good. I agree because going back to that statement that he deducted like $1 million from his purse pay to give it to Amanda Serrano. How many other women boxers eventually, after hearing that news, right, went over to Jake Paul? Why didn't the girl from East Los go over there? What about Yocoste Valle? Right? If these girls fill out their own stadiums respectively, how come they all didn't bounce on the opportunity to ride the coattails of Jake Paul? You see what I'm saying? So besides like Ashton Style or Slyle, no one has really ever signed outs to Jake Paul.
I
Like
was reading a
his
comment.
shtick, it's kind of dying out. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I don't really know, man. I don't really think Jake Paul's influence has been it's gonna stay for the sport of boxing, and I feel like it's just a moment. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's kind of like going to a concert, especially since he's not really establishing his fan base or selling out fights here in the United States. He's already fighting in Saudi Arabia. So he's already being like a
Wow.
very high commodity and like very prestigious. Where like, oh, you want to see me fight? Fly over to Dubai. And then the
Yeah.
casual, his followers, they're not going to be over there. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
But that's
let me
the
go
that's
to a
not a bad
different
thing
point though.
though. That's not a bad thing though, homie
Oh,
Ricky,
no,
because
it's
his
a bad
followers
thing.
are no, his followers are on YouTube though. They're used to buying his product and consuming what offerings he does provide through television and screens. So they don't have to travel. And even if they do have the trouble, guess what? They're those modern kids that are into technology, have those high tech, Silicon Valley jobs that could afford it. That's why he's able to, fill up those kind of
They probably
arenas.
have their holographic thing set up over there, and they're over here.
So I'm gonna
Their
go to.
teleportation
Yeah,
machines.
yeah.
I want to ask a different point. So as everybody is so concerned about where PBC goes and their stable of fighters, right? We already know that Tom Brank's going to stay with ESPN. But
Hmm.
what is Eddie Hearn? What is Oscar De la Hoya going to do? Because this year they've been destroyed by PBC, right? They
Yeah.
snatched Canelo under from him. They took Ryan basically, and now there's riffraff and tension between Oscar and Ryan Garcia, right? We don't know if Ryan's gonna buy out his contract. Oscar's saying, "Look, dude, we already went to court. I just want you to fucking adhere to what our contract is and fight for us for I don't know how many more remaining years or how many total fights." But obviously, there's friction, right? So given that Oscar is now with PBC, given that Ryan wants to go to PBC or wants to, basically get off Oscar's De La Hoya's contract, what is Oscar going to do with Jaime Munguia? What is he going to do with Zurdo, right? Zurdo says that he wants a rematch with Bivol. He says that he wants to be the first cruiserweight champion. Hell, maybe even he might be ambitious enough to be a heavyweight champion
Hmm.
like Andy Ruiz and stuff like that. But Andy Ruiz, I don't know if he's from Mexico or down in East, not East LA, but LA area.
San
Imperial.
Diego, maybe.
So
He's from Imperial.
Oh
what
yeah,
is
yeah,
what is the zone? What are they going to do? Because let me ask you guys this, and I'm gonna keep it simple. Have you been impressed with the zone ever since they came here, like in 2018, 19? Have you been impressed with Eddie Hearn? Like
Very.
in terms of their stay here, quote unquote, and their takeover, right? Their transatlantic deal. Have you been impressed with them and the zone as a whole from then to now?
Yeah, I mean, I like their consistency, bro.
yeah.
They're this at least this year. My
You
mind.
just told me you fucking hate Sergio Mora. How can you say that? Just like,
Oh, even that's consistent. He consistently hates them.
I don't know what that. I was trying to like correlate that with the consistency of them. I mean, um, sometimes I just watch the fight and mute Sergio, honestly.
Oh
But
God! Wow.
nah, Sergio's cool. It was
Yeah,
it's
he's a
him.
good dude. He's a good fighter too.
I met the dude that he's with. He's fucking annoying. I don't know his
who
name.
is it? Chris Mannix?
Yeah, like he's fucking smart ass. It's kind of
Yeah,
comical.
it's Chris Mannix.
Yeah, it's comical sometimes. But what was I saying? I totally forgot what I was saying before that.
Yeah, you're saying that the zone is very consistent. Consistent
Yeah,
in what way, Drew?
consistent. Like they'll have a Friday night fight, and then they'll have a Saturday fight the next day. Or how about um Shockey Foster fighting in Mex, and I think that's like a Friday or a Thursday fight, and
Yeah.
then they have a Friday fight right after that. I think, and then a couple weeks ago they had three of them in one weekend. I was like, wow, that's consistency right there. They weren't all the same day, but they were like one after another. Like it's pretty like this year they've been consistent, and ever since they upped the prices, they made sure we got our money's worth. So that's what I
So
like.
you think
Mhm.
so you're gonna tell me here that you've been getting your money's worth of $25 a month? Remember, they were
Depending on
at
the month.
9.99. They
That's
used to be $10.
it depends on the
They
month.
used to not have pay-per-view.
Depends on the month, I guess.
What
Like
about you, Speed?
yeah, well, for me it depended on the month because dude, they charged me and I was like, fuck, I forgot to cancel it because Canelo already fought and I wasn't looking forward to none of the fights. So I was like, fuck it, I guess I'll watch Zurdo versus Smith, you
Yeah.
know.
No, you know me, Ricky. I'm the biggest advocate for the zone. I love their product. I've been subscribed to the Zone app since their inception. There has not been 1 month, even when there was slow months, of interrupted transmission of boxing. I love the sport. I love the fact that I'm able to watch fights from the world over. I love the fact that I'm not limited to just American or Western hemisphere fights.
You
I
like Eddie
love
Hearn?
I love the fact that he's a great promoter, that he's charismatic, he's
You think he's
hilarious.
handsome?
Do I think he's handsome? He's a handsome guy, but that's not why I follow him. I follow him because he's doing the job of a promoter. Like
Scary. Scary.
he's like Bob Arum without the years, right? Where if Bob Arum had the energy to be before a screen all day, because that's what Eddie Hearn seems to do. He's always being interviewed or talking to somebody. But that man is so sharp. He knows all the dates of all of his upcoming fights. He's
Yeah.
able to describe every single person's fighting style, who he's setting him up, the undercards. He runs through all these names. He's not using paper. He's just randomly freestyling everything off the dome. So that lets me know this guy
Hmm.
really is on top of his job,
And
and
he cares.
yes, and he's a fan of the sport, right?
Yeah.
And when he talks about these fights, he sells them very well because he's very impassioned about what is going on in the matchmaking. Now, he's not the best promoter in the sense, if you want to have an easy career or become a superstar, it's going to be hard because he's going to set you up against very tough fights. But now, if you're able to endure, then you're going to be in the fight of the year contenders because he's done it consistently. Um, you're going to be a multi-millionaire. He pays handsomely. He'll travel the world with you.
I,
Um,
I feel like he's
so I
a
love the zone.
I feel like he's a hardcore fan in the inside, and he just wants to make the fights happen so he can watch them. I almost feel that
Yeah,
way. You
that's
know,
true.
I almost feel that way. I almost feel like he doesn't care, not necessarily that what we care, what we think, but like I almost feel like he wants to watch some of these fights so bad that he
Yeah,
just manages to make these fights happen, and he does it for his own liking.
yeah.
And I'm with him. I like that shit. Like, so
Well,
I like him
let
for that.
me since you guys are in favor of what you guys have been seeing with the zone and Eddie Hearn, let me just not necessarily play devil's advocate because this is really how I feel, but there's only been one fight this year that Eddie Hearn has done, and that was Joe Cordina versus Shavkat Rakimov. That's the only fight that I have seen of the zone this year that I'm like, wow, that was pretty fucking amazing.
Which one was that?
That's the only fight. That's the only fight. Canelo Alvarez versus John Ryder. Again, you have Canelo Alvarez. Basically, you can bring in David Benavidez. You can bring in all these fighters so you can fight on your platform, and you give us John Ryder in Mexico. I mean, don't get me wrong. John Ryder presented himself relatively well. It was one-sided for like 9 rounds, and then he came out strong the last three.
Hey,
With a couple of headbutts and making Canelo, get a little Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer nose towards the very end.
but who
But
invited me to your house?
no, no,
Who
no, no,
invited me
no.
to your house for that fight?
But hold on. But that's something completely different.
Hilarious.
So what I'm saying, and then there was the whole situation versus Mauricio Lara and Lee Wood too. That was like Mauricio Lara didn't make weight. There was some fuckery going around there. So what I'm trying to say is this: you got us Edgar Berlanga versus Jason Quigley when you could have made like a multiple other big fights with Edgar Berlanga. Like Edgar Berlanga's fighting the same. No disrespect to Jason Quigley, but those are like the same type of names like Steve Rolls and all these kind of like recycled fighters. Same thing that Zurdo has been fighting. So besides those fights, I mean, there hasn't really been anything that the
Yeah,
zone
but
has been
look,
to offer. Hold on, wait, wait,
the
wait, 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 wait,
Let him
wait,
cook.
relax. You guys said that, Eddie Hearn is a professional because he knows he's like a fan that he wants to see all these fights and he talks about it. Well, that's the only thing that he does. He talks about it because he could have given us Anthony Joshua, let's say, versus Wilder, and he gave us fucking Robert Helenius.
That's his boy.
But what I'm saying is, you gave us Robert Helenius. Anthony Joshua has been fighting ever since he got knocked down by Andy Ruiz, and besides the Usyk fights, was really good. But he's been basically fighting the recycled heavyweights. Now he'll probably put in that Italian who beat Adam Kownacki You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, bro, how many of those guys are you gonna fight for Anthony Joshua? You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
So I
I
do.
haven't
I
really
do.
been impressed. I
I'll,
haven't
I'll
really.
I'll I'll grant you that. I'll
Ah,
grant you that. I'll grant you
ah.
the fact that matching Robert Helenius after with Anthony Joshua after having had that Helenius knocked out in the first round by Deontay Wilder, pitting him up against Anthony Joshua afterwards. A year afterwards, it's a very bad offering. But you have to understand what he was doing. He was
I'm
trying to
telling you,
compare he was trying to compare one man's victory
you
versus the other
cannot.
man's victory because he planned on making those two fighters fight each other. He
So check
planned
this
on
out.
making Anthony Joshua and Wilder fight each other. So he was trying to give you a point of reference to see who done it better so that he could negotiate and promote that fight, bring up some hype to it. Now, and if you just take the fight in and of itself, just as an isolated case, of course, that's a very bad offering. But nonetheless, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing: the build up to that fight, because because Eddie Hearn was building it up well, had more hype than when Deontay Wilder was gonna fight Helenius. What I'm trying to tell you is this: you can get a whole year's worth of boxing, maybe every weekend. You're gonna watch two or three events, for the most part, for the rest of the year, and the fights that you already seen this year at $25 a pop, which is like $250 a year. But if you go into Showtime and the PBC, they've only had about what, four major fights this year, and all of them been pay per view, and all of them at $90 a pop. Four at $90, it's like you're, what is that, like $360, and there's still two more to go. You're about to dish out $500 to watch fights like Canelo versus Charlo, which ended up being a stinker.
So
You
wait,
watch
let me
Plant
ask
versus
you this.
Benavides, which ended up being a stinker. I mean, what memorable fights did you think you got your money's worth
But
by
what
paying
was
for five fights this year on PBC when you're paying double what the zone cost the whole year over?
so?
See what I'm
Let me
trying to
answer.
tell you?
Let me
And
answer
the
that. Let me
PBC
answer
does
that.
horrible job
No,
promoting
no, no,
these
no. So
fights.
let me answer that. So PBC actually gave us the fights that we actually wanted, right? Because everybody wanted for a long time wanted to see Tank versus Ryan Garcia. You know what I'm saying? To the point where it was like, oh, I'm not gonna give you Tank. I'm gonna fight Manny Pacquiao. So they gave us what we wanted, more or less. Ryan Garcia finally gave us what he's been talking about, right? And he finally walked the walk. He just didn't finish. He didn't finish. He didn't go to the finish line. So, but Showtime was the distributor. They reaped the benefits of them, quote unquote, saying, "Oh, we gave you the fight," when in reality it was Ryan that gave us the fight. But anyway, they were still the network that distributed that fight. They also gave us Errol Spence versus Bud Crawford. We've been wanting that fight for 5 years, and whether it was Errol Spence, giving in to everything that of Bud Crawford's demands, who was the person that reaped the benefits and distributing that fight? Showtime all over again. Same thing with Canelo, even with Jermell Charlo. That fight should have been happened like since they were both at 154 like 8 years ago.
Wait,
And
homie
still,
Ricky,
wait,
but
hold on,
right
hold on, hold on.
now,
I'm answering your question. Wait, I'm answering your question. And again, the people that are reaping the benefits is Showtime, right? They've been giving us all these fights that we've been wanting for years. Something that had Eddie Hearn having
are you
Canelo
neglecting the
Alvarez.
fact
Wait,
that those
hold on,
fights
hold on,
didn't
hold on.
happen because of the PBC? Are
So
you
what I meant
neglecting the
about
fact that
hold
we
on, hold
took
on, hold on.
5 years for those guys to fight because of the PBC?
No, I actually don't agree with you that it was
Oh
the
no.
PBC's fault. Let me tell you why. No, no, that's a different. Let me keep elaborating on what I was saying before I was rudely interrupted. Not joking. So there's that aspect. Let me go back to a little thing about comparing what the zone. Dylan White popped dirty, right? He popped dirty all over again. So instead of, like you said, Eddie Hearn, such a great promoter, he gave us, so we can have a point of reference, was the word you used, Robert Helenius and Anthony Joshua, right? You're setting up Anthony Joshua because if you're trying to compare how the fights are going to be, you just can't beat the Wilder 1 round knockout.
Yeah.
So you're setting up Joshua already for failure. Two,
Yeah.
if you really wanted to replace and save the event of Anthony Joshua versus Dylan White, the rematch, because Dylan White popped dirty, give us Andy Ruiz the third fucking fight. I don't know if it
D-Way.
was Drew or Drew. either
I
Speed or
said
Drew
that.
or both of you guys that said, "Oh man, he's such a great fan of the sport, such a great promoter that he's like a fan. He's very professional. He wants to see all these fights happen."
Yeah.
Bullshit. Every fight fan has been wanting to see the rubber match between Joshua and Andy Ruiz, and he didn't give it to us when he
That's
could have
Andy
delivered.
Ruiz's
And
fault.
Andy was like,
That's
"Motherfucker, hey,
Andy's
I'm
fault.
right here. Hey, let me send you a DM. I'm right here, teacher. I know the answer. Me." And he didn't give it to us.
No,
But that
I
was
So
think
what
Andy's
I am
fault.
trying
that
to tell
I
you
agree
is,
with Drew. I agree with
hold
Drew.
on.
That's Andy Ruiz's fault. The guy
No, it's
ate
not Andy
himself,
Ruiz's
ate
fault.
the
He
whole
cooked. He
fayuca.
cooked.
He ate the whole taco truck, and then he came in looking like I don't like to talk bad about fighters,
Hold
but
on.
he
Let me ask
came
you this.
looking
That
like
doesn't
crap,
matter.
and he killed the allure of any other fights. Because guess what?
No,
That
no,
just
he
meant,
didn't.
guess what? He should have been knocked out the very first fight,
Go
like
ahead,
he
Rick.
sat
No,
his
he
ass
shouldn't
down in the
have.
third. Yes, he
For
did. That's
first
why
and
he got sat
foremost,
in
no,
his ass in the
whoa,
third.
hold on. First and foremost, none of that is true because if you're saying that he should have been knocked down the first fight, Anthony Joshua had 12 fucking rounds to be able to knock out Andy Ruiz like Andy Ruiz dropped and knocked him out in the first fight. So he
He
didn't.
didn't knock him out.
You know what Joshua did? He did a 1-2 hug. He did a Klitschko. I don't even know how many times he sodomized Andy Ruiz just fucking hugging him.
You know
So
how easy it is to want to hug a fat guy
so
that
what I
ain't
am
moving
saying,
because the guy's belly is taking up all of his space.
no.
No.
So what I am trying to say is, okay, and Andy knocked you out, and you outboxed him the second time. So just because you got the better of him the second time, where's the third fucking fight? Bing, bing, bing. You had a
The
great
homie Ricky,
opportunity.
listen,
Andy
you're
priced
not
himself
look,
out.
you're not
That's
gonna
why.
You're
tell
gonna
me.
cut me off from hitting
Wait,
a
wait,
one
no,
liner.
it's
So
no. I'm
wait,
trying. No, okay.
whoa. So what I
Whoa,
am
whoa, whoa,
trying to
whoa,
say
whoa.
is, instead of giving us Andy Ruiz the third, you gave us Robert Helenius. So tell
Okay,
me, how
okay,
is
there
that
you
good
go. Okay,
promotion?
there you go. Are you gonna try and tell me that a fight that took place 4 years ago is so highly in demand after Andy Ruiz looked like crap against Chris Arreola and got dropped by 40-year-old Luis Ortiz?
He didn't get dropped
I
by
mean,
King Kong Ortiz.
oh no, whatever. But are you gonna tell me that
No, you
that's the
whatever.
fight that you want to see after 4 years, and that because that fight hasn't happened, the zone, which only costs you $250 for probably like I don't know how many events a year, 50 events a year, is somehow an inferior product to one other company that provides you 5 fights a year and it's costing you $500? You're not gonna convince me that my money's not worth it at the zone, and me getting the subpar offerings over here at the PBC, a company that's postponed the fights between uh, Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, fights between Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford, marinating that for 5 years until the guy's overblown and crashed in his face and is missing teeth and it's blinded from one eye, and then he puts up a stinker. I paid what, $90
Let me
to
tell
watch
you
that fight?
something,
Wait, wait,
brother.
wait, wait. In one sense, you say these fights suck, and it's $25 a month. And yet these fights are $90 a month. But whoa, because they gave you fights that you wanted that didn't live up to it, are the best things that you can run with. No, the PBC this year has been the most expensive way to watch fights that are long marinated, and that the long marination is caused because of their inability to cross over and make their fighters fight the good fights that we, the boxing fans, have demanded for years. So when they do cross over, they get their ass beat. That's what
Bro,
happens.
Let
go
me
ahead,
tell
Rick.
you something, brother.
Yeah.
Listen,
You're just
the
overtalk. You're the
NFL,
disruptor.
listen, the
You're the
NFL,
disruptor today.
Yeah,
the
get out of here.
NFL is free.
Go ahead, Rick.
The NFL is free. All right, for all day Sunday morning, afternoon, Sunday night. I don't have to
Oh,
pay a dime. Local channels, I don't gotta pay a dime. You see what I'm saying? How do you get at that stage? This is what I'm trying to tell you.
How we
I
get to
haven't.
this?
I have not been impressed with the zone this year.
Oh,
In
okay.
fact, they're. I haven't been impressed with them ever since they crash landed on the moon, bro. How can you honestly say just because? Let me ask you this. You're speaking as a diehard fan, okay? You're speaking as a diehard fan, and just because you've been getting a lot of content, let me ask you. Let me just because
whoa,
you've
whoa,
been
whoa,
getting a lot of bang for your
bro, with
buck,
that?
right?
Yes,
You're gonna be
yes,
like, oh wow, it's been amazing.
yeah.
No, it hasn't. Listen,
Oh God.
HBO, when HBO was here, they were innovative. They gave you the face off with Max Kellerman. They gave you 24/7 all access. What has the zone done that's been so innovative that you're looking forward to some type of content or production value of that they've created, that you're like, man, I gotta tune in to watch, the hand wraps talk with Greg
Well,
Maddox.
if you think
Have
about
you
it,
had that moment with the zone
Go,
where you're
Drew.
like, man, I gotta get my popcorn and watch this fucking sit down? Have you had that moment with the zone? No,
it's
you
most
fucking haven't. And why?
because I'm not a fighter, and I think it benefits fighters because you got film on your opponent. You got more film on your opponent. I think it's a benefit, bro. Like it's
Well,
for the
well,
trainers and fighters.
what does that have to do with what I just asked?
Nothing. That's why I said uh Eddie Hearn is such a fan friendly and a fighter friendly prom- uh CEO, bro. Like he just knows what he's doing, bro. Like he's making everyone happy at the same time, and this is what you're gonna get. Anything less than that, you're making someone unhappy, and there's always gonna be someone unhappy. Like, bro, there needs to be like a huge influx of money coming in. Like that's what they're pretty much getting with the Saudis, and that's what they have, the Saudi money. So they have the potential of that coming in, and then, yeah, bro, I just feel like the consistency is really all you can look for. Like you're looking for big names or for like notable names, but uh, like Terrence Crawford, he fought some non-notable names, but in reality, those guys were champions, and that's the type of things that Eddie Hearn puts on. He's really the hardcore, fan-friendly, promoter that you want, to make all these fights happen. That's
Uh,
all I want, honestly, because sometimes
yeah.
you get those gems, and you're just like, all right, like this is definitely like fight of the year candidate type of, or type of stuff. But the
That's been
names,
all Oscar De La Hoya.
no, I mean that's the zone as well, right? That's the zone. They're doing the same thing, right?
I mean, we were talking about Eddie Hearn, but okay.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay,
gentlemen,
So,
do we
so let me
have?
ask let me ask you the question, just so because I think it got lost in translation. What
yeah, man.
production have you been so impressed with the zone
This is
that
a
you
tough
grab your
subject.
popcorn and you're like, man, I gotta watch this promotion aspect of it. I need to watch this press conference. I need to watch this face-off production with Max Kellerman. What have they had with Greg Mannix, Sergio Mora, and any or that Mexican girl with the short hair looking like a Storm from the X-Men? What production do you stay tuned in that you're like, man, I gotta watch this because they're gonna break it down like Brian Custer on The Last Stand? What has the zone done that's been innovative since they crash landed on the moon?
Man, this is like this is like when you go high school, bro. Like math was my favorite subject. This is
What are you
like
talking
fucking
about,
this
dog?
is like fucking PE, bro. Like
It
I don't
doesn't
know.
exist, bro. This is why you're
Like
going on PE in high school, dog. I'm asking you a simple question.
it's like
There's
history
nothing.
right
The
here.
answer is they don't have good value production. So I will give you this. They are consistent. They do hustle. They'll take fights in Sky Nicholson over to Mexico. They'll bring Eduardo Rocky Hernandez versus that black fighter Oshaki Foster over to Mexico. That's nice. They'll have fights in Arizona, Minneapolis. They'll take Regis Prograis home to New Orleans. But bro, you're not watching those fucking fights. That's what I'm trying to tell you, bro. Like, I appreciate your hustle. I'm not saying, but bro, your quality and your content sucks. It's not innovative. That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to
So
tell
listen,
you.
I understand that, Ingo. I understand that all of that promotion, all of the production, all of that builds up to the enticement of watching a fight. But the
Absolutely.
thing, yeah. But the thing is this, the homie Ricky. The zone is known for providing fights, right? So when you go to a place, it's like let me see. Uh, if you go to a place that's known for something, you don't need the extras because you know what you're going for, right? Now, if you're going to a place that you've never been and you don't know anything about, those people are gonna have to work harder to provide you an idea of who they are and why you should be there. The zone doesn't have to go through the whole shebang bang to get you hyped up about fights because you're there because you're a boxing fan. Now, I understand that that's not any excuse for why they shouldn't make those face-offs and all those little crazy things. But hey, if you already know that the zone puts up some of their toughest prospects, fighters against and their prospects, their up and comers against the toughest fighters, and they've been doing that consistently. They don't need to. They don't need to sell you everything for forever.
Okay,
They just have to provide you fights.
let
You
me
know what I'm
cut you
saying?
off. Let me cut you off right here. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. When I think about the zone, you know what I think about? You said when you think about the zone, you think about the product that gives you fights. No, when I think about the zone, I think about the people that give me KSI, Jake Paul, and the Misfit Boxing.
Mm. They also provide you the biggest
No, no,
upsets
no,
in
no.
history.
That's what I know the zone for. A mockery, almost.
You're ridiculous. First off, you've never watched any of those fights because you don't
Of
know
course
any
not,
of those
because
fighters.
again,
You
they're
don't
not
know any
giving
of
me
those
good
fighters.
fights.
You don't know any of those fighters, but guess who does? I do. And I actually like that about the zone. I've told you guys when I watch KSI, and in
I
fact,
don't
I'm
want to
probably
sound
going to
like an
watch.
asshole, bro, but like
That's fine, but
you
I'm
guys
gonna
are not
watch
being
KS.
truthful.
I'm
You're
gonna
not being
watch
truthful.
KSI. I'm gonna watch KSI beat Dennis this weekend. I'm
You're
gonna pay
looking
I
like
think
sixty
Dylan
you're
bucks.
Dennis
looking like
pulled out because he has an injury.
You're lying.
Yeah, he's fucking fighting Jake's. Look, listen, I don't care
He
about
did
those
that
guys.
again.
Listen to me. I don't care about those guys. This is what I'm
see, he
trying to tell you.
cares.
That's when I think about
I
the zone
care.
and when I think about the zone and their boxing, that's what I think about. Not to be an asshole, but that's what I think about because, like I'm trying to tell you,
Yeah,
when
that's
you
fine.
think,
So
listen, when you think about streaming platforms,
you're
what
being
comes
an
to
asshole
mind?
here.
You think about Netflix. You don't really think about HBO streaming platform. No, you think about Netflix, right? You might think about Hulu. You might think about Amazon Prime. What you don't think about the zone boxing.
Look, the
You
homie
simply
Ricky, are
don't.
you ridiculous? This is what I think
You're
about the zone boxing.
ridiculous.
I think boxing the world over. I think the most female fights
Yep.
of any broadcaster
The
in the
most
world.
ass.
Uh, I think about the most boxing nights. I think about the hilarity fights, like those celebrity fights. I think about
Nah.
MMA. I think about MMA.
I
Let
don't
me
Uh,
like
tell
that
you
either.
something.
I,
Let
I
me
think
tell you
about female
something, brother.
soccer. Hey, the female soccer. And okay, guys,
Let
let
me
me.
tell you something, brother. When the zone
We're starting.
promotes their first Triple G, when they can take Gennady Gradovich Golovkin, when they
Love
can
it.
make, when they can finally build one up here in the United States, I'm gonna be like, you guys finally understood the formula. But guess
Yeah.
what? They have all those guys. They have Bektemir. They have MJ Akhmadoliev, and they have a bunch of names. And guess what? They've yet to be able to
Okay.
make a
Can
Triple
we go?
G.
Can we
So
hop on to
hold
other
on.
things?
Let me
Because I know you're
recap this.
gonna want to call the
Hold
night and
on.
everything, but I have so
No,
much
no, no,
news
no,
to
no, no,
talk
no.
about.
Let me. We're gonna go all night. Listen to me. Pause. Pause. Major pause. Listen. This is what I'm gonna try to tell you. When they finally
Listen to this guy, Drew.
build a Triple G, which they have a bunch of great fighters from Eastern European area of the world. When they finally build one, then I'm gonna be like, now they understand the fucking formula. Now they
Okay, got it.
understand association to
Got
a
it.
certain fighter. But guess what? They haven't been able to do that, and they've been here for 4 or 5 years. So what I'm
Okay.
trying to tell you, I have not been impressed. Look, I'm not an asshole. You know what I'm saying? But you guys are not being truthful here. Listen,
Okay.
the
Yo, yo, yo.
zone.
How?
Drew. Well, we're wrong. We're
No, no, not
wrong.
because you're
What was the
wrong.
lie? What was the lie that I said?
No, no, I'm not
Yeah,
saying you
yeah.
guys are.
What is he wrong about?
What I'm not. What I'm saying is, you guys aren't lying. You guys are just
You
not
said we were
speaking.
deceitful.
No, no, I didn't say that. I never used
What's
the
the
word
word?
deceitful.
What's
I'm
the
saying you
word?
guys aren't telling the truth. You guys are not even answering a
What?
simple. You
Wow.
guys are not
We're
We're
even
not.
liars,
answering a
bro.
simple.
We're
Hold on.
liars.
You guys
We're
are not
either.
even answering simple, direct questions. Drew went on to talk about high school and calculus and math, and Speed is over here like, I love misfit boxing. This is the greatest. Listen,
You're
You want me to
dude.
say? Can I
How
talk?
many?
Can I talk
Yeah, yeah.
about
Go, Drew. Go,
15
Drew. Go,
seconds?
Drew. Yeah, go, Drew.
So you're gonna keep asking me these questions, and you're gonna switch around the words. I'm gonna keep saying consistency, bro. Like,
Hmm.
I what, like, what do you want me to feel like? Like, you're telling me to
Okay.
feel a type of way when I
Let him
watch these
talk.
fights, and
Con-
and
Let him
I
talk.
put money on these fights. So
whoa,
if
whoa, hold
I
on.
I'm gonna mute you,
hold on, I
homie.
said 20 seconds. I mean, I don't know. Like, what's the longest I've ever talked on this? Like 30
Hold
minutes?
on, Drew. Let me just ask you
Let
this
him
question.
cook. Let Drew cook, bro.
Go
Well,
ahead.
because he goes on these tangents, and I have to
How
cut
the
it
hell
off.
is a 10 second
Go
a
ahead. Go ahead.
tangent?
No, because I
Fucking
just
guy.
he just said he said I'm gonna say consistency, and then you go on to say I make bets on these fights. Those things don't add up. Listen,
How?
what
I
product
can't say
Oh
that
those
my
has
things.
been
god.
You're
what fighter
what?
has the zone been consistent
Oh
with
man.
you that you're like,
Oh
man,
shit. What? I'm gonna mute you. All right. I muted him, Drew. I muted him. Go for it, bro.
Oh, you can do that?
Yeah, I could do that.
Oh, what the hell?
you can't do that, but okay. Go
No,
ahead.
but for real, mute yourself, homie. I want to hear Drew because he's right. We never let him talk more than 10 seconds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just consistency, bro. Like I may not know the fighter. I may not, you know, see who they are, but they give me an opportunity to actually watch these fights and rewatch them as well. I mean, Showtime doesn't even let you do that. So what other network lets you rewatch the fights?
Mm.
Mm.
Mm,
What
well,
what other ones?
it's hard to do so, but I think
No, I
ESPN
mean
Plus?
maybe.
that's one of the things that I hate about Showtime is that when I buy a pay-per-view, right? I want to be able to watch it, right after the fucking fight ends.
Mm-hmm.
As everybody leaves the home after the fight party, I want to rewatch it and study it by myself. I don't want to subscribe to Showtime and they're gonna show it to me the following Saturday. That's why I don't feel sad at all
What
that
if
Showtime
Showtime
is
is
doing
able to
that.
give you that?
So they should have been doing that, but they don't give
I
a fuck
mean,
about their
sorry.
customers, and
What
that's
if
why
the
they don't
zone is able to
exist
do
in
you
my
that?
world anymore. So what I'm
What
trying
if
to
the
tell you
zone?
is this,
What if the
Drew.
zone
You
is
keep
able to do
saying
that?
this word. You keep saying this word. The zone has been consistent. But I'm asking the simple question: and consistent in what? And then you go on these tirades.
What other consistent and what like they're not you are baffling me right now, bro. Consistency? What the fuck are we talking about here? What
I'm asking you,
God.
bro. You're the one that
you
keeps
know
saying
what?
the word
I like their
consistent.
training camps. They're consistent with
Yeah.
training camps. They're
Yeah.
consistent with training camps,
Oh,
Ricky.
you
Okay,
know,
so for
look.
instance,
What else
let
are
me
you
break it
what
down
else do you
simply.
think we're talking
Let me
about here?
let me break it down simply to you.
Making the fights.
Yeah.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
all right. Let me go on for a little bit. Let me go on for a little bit. When I think about ESPN, you know what they're consistent of doing? Giving me certain fighters that they sign, certain prospects. So, for instance, I
They're
know
making fights.
consistently that they're going to give me Richard Torres, Emmanuel Vargas, Emiliano Vargas, Keyshawn Davis. Once they put on a prospect, that's their main event. You know what? They're going to bombard that undercard with a shit ton of prospects. They've been consistently doing that. That's what it means to be consistent when I watch an ESPN that's headlined by an up and comer. The
A
zone.
fighter's a
So what
fighter's a
I'm
fighter
saying
to me.
is you
Yep.
keep using that word consistent. I'm not trying to be like, do you know what consistent means? Because you're talking about making bets and all these things. Listen,
No.
when I
No,
talk
you're
about
saying
ESPN,
you didn't say consistently putting big names on cards. You didn't say that.
no,
I
you're
said,
supposed to make that argument
"Oh,
because you're
I'm
saying
supposed
that
to?
you've been,
I'm
yeah,
supposed to?"
because because you're the one that's saying I'm actually, I like the zone as a product. I like their consistency. And I'm saying, okay, what is that consistency that you speak of? And you haven't been speaking of it. You
Making
bring in
fights. They're
math,
consistently putting
you
fights.
bring in high score, you bring in that you make constant
I
bets.
brought in high
And I'm
school
like, okay,
once and I
that's
didn't bring
your
in high school
behavior,
again. You
but that's
said it
not the
twice
zone's
again. That's
behavior.
why.
So I'm just kind of like, are you not do you not want to answer that question? Look, what I'm trying to say is this.
I already did.
Okay, listen. Okay, I'm gonna just move on from that because you guys have been consistently not answering the question. Okay, so Oscar De la Hoya and Eddie Hearn, will they finally put their differences aside to give us fucking fights that we actually give a fuck about? For instance, I care about Jaime Munguia versus Edgar Berlanga. I care about Jaime Munguia. Hell, give me John Ryder. Are they gonna give us those type of fights that I want to see? When I think about other fighters or fights are in around that weight class, we have Camaron Zepeda, right? And I'm not saying he can fight Joe Cordina, but what other 135 fighters that does Eddie Hearn have at lightweight? Maybe Devin Haney. But Devin Haney now is at 140. So they're not really going to give us that fight, right? So whatever stable it is that Oscar De La Hoya has, which is a small stable, but they got fighters like Alexis Rocha. They have fighters like Virgil Ortiz, who I don't know if he should be boxing or if he should be, at middleweight. I don't really know what's going on with his situation. You see, when we talk about giving us an interview, a highly anticipated interview or a sit down, or a behind the scenes, they should have been giving us that content with Virgil Ortiz, checking up on the health status of Virgil. Where the fuck is that content? When I try to tell
So
you what impact has
yeah,
hold on,
yeah,
when
you
It's
don't
not
have to
Virgil's
try to
set up.
tell
fault.
you guys
It's not
what
Virgil's
You don't
fault.
impact
have.
has the zone had, what impact has the zone had that you
You
look
don't have to.
into
You
a
don't have to set
situation
up
like
that
HBO?
question
Hold on. What
that
I'm trying to
long,
tell you,
homie Drew.
man, bro, I
Your
swear you
question
guys
is
never
quite
allow me to do
simple,
anything.
right? Your question is quite simple. Can Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya work together? And I think they can, right? See this emotional guy, this
Yeah.
guy right here. So look, Drew. Um, I don't know if you know this, but just a couple of days ago, Mr. Oscar De La Hoya called out all the promoters. He called out Al Heyman. He called out Eddie Hearn. He called Mr. Bob Arum, and he called them out and said, "Hey guys, for the sake of the sport, for the greatness of the legacy that we provide in the world of athletics, let's work together." And there was a famous photograph that's been, making the rounds where Oscar De La Hoya is reconnected with his old promoter, Mr. Bob Arum, and they're embracing each other. And as a token of that embrace, we had this most recent fight, which I'm not too sure we ever got your opinions on, but it was Zurdo Ramirez, Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez, the Mexican, who just went up to cruiserweight for his very first fight versus Joe Smith Jr., a previous top ranked fighter, and maybe he still is. Who had just most recently been knocked out by Arthur Beterbiev about a year so ago. Both of them went up to cruiserweight. Both of them put up a very good fight. Um, Zurdo looked flabby. Joe Smith looked very adept at that weight class, but a little on the small side. Nonetheless, that was their very first offering, and is what you would call harmonic gesture, where Top Rank is willing to work with Golden Boy to make certain fights happen. Now, he is similarly calling on Eddie Hearn to provide some of his fights and to work with him. Now, this was Mr. Eddie Hearn's response. He said, "Oh yeah, we could definitely, make some business together." And he said, "What I'm thinking we can do," he says, "I think we can make Jaime Munguia versus John Ryder." And I think he's also talking about uh, Connor Ben versus Alexis Rocha. Now, Alexis Rocha is a fighter at first place for one of Terence Crawford's belts, but he's the second in line because I think Boots Ennis is first or something like that, and then it would be Alexis Rocha. Um, Connor Ben is the guy who just most recently fought in Florida against a very tough, rangy Mexican. Looked very, very good after a year and a half out. And that's another realistic fight. He also is willing to bring up a few of his fighters, likely at 140, because he's got a couple of 145 fighters that, over there from Australia to see, some of the fighters that Golden Boy has that are up and comers. But I think there really is realistic efforts to make most of these fights happen because the writing's on the wall. PBC is is at risk of becoming a bankrupt company where they may no longer exist. And Showtime is putting out of the sport of boxing after like 37 years. The writing's on the wall. There's been rumors about Top Rank also losing money and having their budget cut by ESPN, thereby making it so that their offerings for the next foreseeable future will be limited. So my question to you is, do you think it's an earnest, honest effort between these companies to work together to spare the sport a slow demise? Because it's not looking favorable for the sport of boxing.
Yeah, I'm hearing Bob Arum and fucking what's that dude from Matchroom? Warren Buffett. I heard they're like they they uh they make great. I'm hearing my echo right now. God damn it. Um, hold on. Yeah, no. Fucking Bob Arum and Warren Warren Buffett. Is that his name?
Um,
Warren
no,
something.
Warren Buffett is Crawford's buddy.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, the Matchroom, the guy from Matchroom. I'm hearing they're
Frank
like
Warren.
pretty
Oh no,
close.
no, Frank Warren is Queensboro.
Yeah, like the guy from Matchroom, but I'm hearing they're like boys, bro. Like they're trying to, they actually make business a lot with each other, So I don't know. I feel like those guys will make good business with each other. I can't really name their fighters off the top of my head, but yeah, I mean, they can make it happen. I'm hearing. I mean, Bob Arum, there's interviews of him saying there's a huge influx of money coming in. And I'm like, fuck does that mean? But it probably means, Saudis or something, So something's definitely like cooking up right now. Um, the bigger picture, like the whole economy shit right now. So I think
Hmm.
once everything goes up, like boxing will go up with it. You'll see more fights go on, with the PBC fighters and Tank and all that. I think this year was kind of like a scratch in the surface of what's to come, because of all that. I do think once they get shit figured out with the Showtime, things
Hmm.
are gonna get hot, in every division. So that's what I'm hoping for. I hope fights uh happen easier, with no BS, no politics behind it. So yeah, because I feel like upsets are good for the sport.
Yeah, yeah.
Upsets are really good for the sport, and
Hmm.
you know, that's a Golden Boy thing. Golden Boy really sets him up. Um, can I turn a little bit to the Eric Tudor fight or not?
Um,
You
yeah,
guys
go
want
for it. I didn't see it.
you guys didn't see it?
Mm-mm.
You guys want me to tell you what happened with the Lions this past weekend? It was on the Zurdo undercard. Find some dude
What?
named Yeah, he was on the Zurdo undercard, and he was fighting
Wait,
some
wait,
dude.
wait. Was that young looking kid?
I mean, who?
Tudor.
He
He's a
he looks
young
young.
looking kid.
Yeah, yeah. Slid back hair, kind of.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like sort of Italian looking or something like
Bro,
that.
like the lines had it crazy. They had it all opposite, and they were like, it was like plus 1,200 for like a knockout, plus 900 for a unanimous decision, and then the Sanchez guy was like favorite to win by decision, and people were like, I mean, not a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, just the people who listen to, the like Betty Invest that I get, like, new, but the lines were just opposite. They had it messed up, and luckily I didn't get greedy, because the odds were crazy, man. It was free money. You look at that, you're like, damn, that doesn't make sense, and you see the money line and he's favorite, but then they have it opposite on the specific outcomes and all that. So, man, that was crazy. Tudor ended up losing, bro, by decision, and Sanchez was like coming up from 147, fighting a full fledged 154 pounder. And he's
Wow.
like, dude, that dude's like 5'11", 9-0, six knockouts. And I was like thinking, like, man, he's gonna win by decision at the least, and I just underestimated Sanchez because he was only like 5'7", fighting. He did take away like two O's. He beat I don't know, he lost to Jai Tucker. He beat like two undefeated fighters, but those fighters didn't really end up, like they ended up those wins didn't really age that well. So I was like, I was still not a believer, but man, what an opportunity if if they people bet on that Sanchez guy, because he's a tough dude, and that's what I was gonna say. It's that Golden Boy cards, man. Like they really just put their guys on the line, and they
Yeah.
really test their guys, and I kind of took that for granted because I heard someone say that, and I was like, do they really do that? But then I remember Rick winning that bet against Fierro, and I was like, man, these guys really do get the upsets. So
Yeah, but speaking of doing that, yeah, I mean, I'm hearing the same thing. I mean, I think even outside of these lives, I talked to the homie Ricky, and he said that Oscar Duarte, who's supposed to be Ryan Garcia's next opponent, is going to be one of those very dangerous guys. That's likely going to be a setup fight to basically defeat Ryan Garcia, similar to like how Mr. Bob Arum set up Pacquiao to be defeated at the hands of Jeff Horn. I keep hearing that this Duarte guy is a banana peel. I've never seen the guy fight. I can't believe I've never seen. Wait. I did actually. I did. I tried to look for some highlight, and I saw that there was this fight that took place about a year ago that I had seen, and I was like, oh, okay, I remember this kid. But I I mean, he didn't really necessarily stand out. Apparently, he's on a 11 knockout streak, having lost one, and he's coming after Ryan Garcia. And Ryan Garcia is coming off of, it's going to be like about 8, 10 months uh, from his last fight with a new trainer at a new weight class. Um, Even though he's bringing Duarte from 135 to fight at 140, but now, a very happy fighter. Ryan Garcia having netted about 20, $30 million from his last fight against Tank Davis. I wonder if he's gonna have the moxie, the grit to fend off against a fighter that's on a winning streak. And apparently, he's a banana peel.
who's banana peel? Oh,
Oscar Duarte.
yeah. No, I'm hearing Duarte is actually a tough guy. You know, um, where when's that fight gonna happen? Like in December, right?
Yeah, in December. But this is crazy because Golden Boy has so many fights. Well, the zone in general has so many fights that are gonna take place in December. For example, uh, talking about these fights between Mr. Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya. They're trying to set up these fights in December, and they've been like, I'm not too sure if you just heard about it, but Akhmadaliev, there was this purse bid between Akhmadaliev, the guy who lost to Tapales. It was very controversial. It was a very hard fight, but Marujan Akhmadaliev, he's set up to dispute one of his fights, and Matchroom won the purse bid for, guess what, $120,000, split between both of these fighters at 50-50. I mean, that's a great fight, got in at the cheap. That's incredible because Marujan Akhmadaliev, he was a unified champion. I think he's from like Ukraine or something like that. He wears that
Mhm.
little hat. He wears that little hat like M
Oh yeah.
Bison from Street Fighter.
Mhm.
But anyways, he's gonna be fighting this guy named Kevin Gonzalez. For a final eliminator for the WBA, and he could actually be included under the Regis Program versus Devin Haney fight on December the 9th in San Francisco. If it
Mhm.
doesn't take place on the 9th, he may likely be added to Sonny Edwards or Bam Bam Rodriguez on the 16th, or someone announced a fight date in Abu Dhabi. But basically, you have all of these fighters that are being placed against other fighters that no one seems to know anything about, except the hardcore people like you and Eddie, the homie Ricky, that apparently watch boxing solely to bet and win some money.
Mhm.
I just
Nothing
watch
wrong with
boxing just
that.
for the violence.
Yeah, yeah, I know, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's okay watching a fighter you don't. I mean, recognizing it's like if you can come. That's why I said it depends what month we're talking about because
Mm.
that shit charged me. Not even I forgot, and I was like, man, so it's a win-win. I wasn't. What can I do now? So I decided to put some bets. Now I got 3 weeks worth of fights. Last month I also had there was a pay-per-view uh last month, but it was on the Dazn card. Um but yeah, I get access to all those fights. So to me, it's what I can get with it. I get main events with it. I get you know other fights with it as well. So that's why I like the zone. I mean, there's nothing to hate about the zone. I mean, you're gonna watch the fight. If it's a big fight, you're gonna watch it regardless of the network. Like I don't really be doing. I don't get like I heard a term like network gang banging. Like people like really like favorite their their networks. And it's like there's a point of time where I mean I'm still like I feel casual here and there, but like like there was a time where I did not literally pay attention to any of that, and I was like,
Hmm.
it went over my head. I heard HBO before I heard you know top. I didn't even think I heard of Top Rank before, to be honest. Top Rank went over my head. I just thought ESPN had fights. So to
Yeah,
me,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, to me, it was just like I didn't even. Yeah, I was like probably 12. I didn't know the phrase Top Rank. So yeah, man. It just to me now that I
You
like.
knew it as channels, not
Yeah,
necessarily promotions. Uh huh.
yeah. So now it's like it doesn't matter to me as long as I'm watching fights. So
Yeah.
that's all that matters to me. I mean, uh, the big fights are gonna happen, but I'm not gonna hold the whole entire network against it. There's so much things that go with it. uh Rick mentioned Virgil Ortiz and he said it like it was his fault, but it's like it's his
Yeah, I
body,
know.
bro. It like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
his body shut down. Like what can you do about it? Like, and he's trying to blame him for that, and it's sad,
yeah. No, I know.
so
It's like, look, Oscar De La Hoya sets up fights, and if they don't live up to the hype, that's on the fighters. That's not on him. He
yeah.
sold the fights, and he just put him up. And in writing, I mean, just by looking at the names, they look like good
Mhm.
fights. Like, I mean, we thought Errol Spence and Terence Crawford was going to be a hell of a fight. Turned out that
Yeah,
it wasn't. And
like
guess what?
I never
We
hold.
can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, I held nothing against Oscar when like when I heard Virgil passed out. I
Mhm.
felt bad for
Yeah.
what's his name,
Oh,
Iman
Stanionis.
Stanionis. But you heard Stanionis had nothing against Virgil Ortiz. He just thought, you know, that's the way things go. He wasn't
Yeah.
mad at him, like, and you can't blame Oscar. It's like, bro, like, he's just trying to give. Like, how did he know all that was gonna happen? So that was gonna be a great fight. That was gonna be a great fight. It's just you cannot put a whole entire blame on someone on a whole entire network because someone's body did not cooperate. So that's just a sad truth right there. So I feel like no, Oscar does good. It's just his just I don't know why he gets like I think at first he's been in this game for a long time. So I think the way I'm looking at him right now is good, but I'm probably not educated on like all the BS that he's been through, and then like
Yeah.
I was when back in the early 2010s, when I wasn't really as into it, I heard there was a lot of bad shit about him, as far as his handling and all that, but as of recently, I feel like I mean, yeah, as of recently, yeah, he's been doing his thing, man. He's been doing his thing. Is just presentation probably towards Ryan. That whole situation's kind of funny. Is just um yeah, man. Just I guess yeah, Rick's a little more educated to with
Yeah.
fights, which because you think of fights in the past, and I'm like I can't say like that was a Golden Boy fight. That was this fight. It's like, bro, like this is why I feel no types of ways because part of me is uneducated on a lot of this shit. When he asked me all that, it was a question I was really uneducated about. And then I
Yeah.
was like, you make it, I'm gonna keep answering it. I'm gonna keep answering it this way. Like, so
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. I agree with you. Like, look, I don't fault the PBC for having offered me Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, or Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia, and both of them turned out to be stinkers because they offered the fight to us. I found intrigue on the product. I purchased them, and it's up to the fighters to live up to it. In fact, if we're going to be upset at anybody, we should be upset at Errol Spence and Ryan Garcia Errol Spence for not coming through with it and not being dedicated to the sport and living that fighter's lifestyle, and Ryan Garcia for basically being a quitter, right? But we can't be like mad at the PBC because the fight didn't live up to it. We can't be upset because Ramos and Lubin put up a stinker. Like that's outside of their control. It's up to these fighters. We can just watch the fights, and that's the same thing applies for Eddie Hearn. That applies for Oscar De La Hoya. I don't blame them. I just know that they provide the names, they sell them well, and if they do, I'm watching them, and that's it. But let me read a couple of and I'm not too sure if you remember one of the Goosen brothers, but we have Joe Goosen, who's a very famous trainer. I think he trained Ryan Garcia for a couple of his fights. I think he worked with Manny Pacquiao for a little bit before he basically stuck with Freddie Roach. He's trained a lot of the Southern California fighters in LA and in those regions. And he had a promoter brother. She's like, forget his first name, but he was a Goosen. He looked a lot like his brother, and I'm not too sure if you know who Joe Goosen is, but he's the denim. He's the coach with the denim tuxedo. He wears denim pants and a denim jacket, and he'll take it everywhere. And Mr. Vince Vargas says, question after Dan. Oh, Dan Goosen. Yeah, that's right. Passed away. Did anyone take over his promotional company? Is it renamed or it went away? And I really don't know what the answer to that is, Mr. Vargas. I know that the elder Goosen uh, passed away, if I'm not mistaken, like around 5, 6, maybe even 7 years ago now. And we gave him the 10 count. Whenever there's a fighter or a trainer or a promoter that dies, we always give him the 10 count. And in fact, it would be remiss of me to not mention that today a bantamweight champion by the name of Malindi, Ronald King Malindi, died on Saturday. Apparently, after having spent 2 months in a hospital after he'd been shot in the head and in the chest, so he just died on Saturday. So let's commemorate those people for promoting the sport and for providing us entertainment value with their fights and the offerings that they made. But I really don't know what happened to the Goosen, the brand of boxing. But I would say these men are very unique men in the sport. They maneuver in a certain way that is hard to emulate. Like when Mr. Bob Aaron passes, I know he's like 92. When he passes, it's not going to be easy to fill that man's shoes. When Don King passes, uh, his legacy will be very hard for anybody to fill. And it just comes to show the kind of involvement of theirs, their knowledge on how to maneuver a fighter, who to pit him against, how to promote a fight. That makes it so that once they're gone, they really leave this incredible void that is hard to fulfill. So I agree with you. His face and presence did stand out, um, and you always thought highly of him. Um, I think when I was watching a lot of those fights, Mr. Vargas, I really didn't think too much about the business side, the promotional side of it, because really I'm a very simple individual. I just care about watching the fights and don't necessarily care too much about the fighters themselves as far as loving one fighter over another. But I do understand that these people leave impressions on us, and once they pass, we are left with questions. And I value your questions, and I value your participation always. Uh, and he ends by saying, Mr. Joe Goosen is the man I remember. I got them mixed up. Joe is the one who I really remember. Whoa, 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 whoa. Joe is alive, right? Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's don't tell me Joe. No, 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 no. Joe Goosen. Let's. No, he's still alive. Oh goodness, you scared me right there, Mr. Vargas. Joe Goosen. All right. Let's go jump on to other things before I um
Yeah.
Drew, I know we
Yeah.
never asked you these questions. I know you probably got to prep yourself for the next day at work, but Gilberto Soto Ramirez just moved up to cruiserweight. He fought Joe Smith Jr. He won, so now he's the next in line to fight for a belt at cruiserweight. He has also said he wants to rematch Bivol. I don't understand how. If he just moved up in that division, and guess what? Even more stupider a statement. He says
Well, he has a
he
belt at 175. No, or am I
yes,
wrong?
Bivol does,
Yeah.
but Zurdo Ramirez he just fought for a contender on a 10 round fight, and I don't
Oh yeah,
know.
yeah,
Look,
yeah.
uh, who how do you fight for an elimination fight that's a 10 rounder? It has to be 12. So why was it a 10 rounder? And people are trying to say that it was because Joe Smith Jr. had a very long layoff. But if you look at the body of Gilberto Ramirez, you're gonna
Mhm.
tell me who do you think actually asked for 10 rounds? I think it's the guy who's been having issues historically for many years with making weight.
Dude. Well, yeah, that has something to do with it too. I was watching the fight too. Now that you mentioned it, I was looking at the rounds and I was like, 10. What the hell? So that kind of threw me off right there. But I was watching that and Ramirez was doing his thing. I almost said it like how you said Ramirez, like Ramirez. Um, that was doing his thing, but then I seen Joe Smith land some haymakers on him, bro, and I was like, damn, he wasn't taking them too well. He was composed at first, but then it started adding up. Had me a little worried towards the end, but I think he edged him out. I stopped watching it a little bit, and then I watched the last round, and I was like, okay, it changed somewhere along the way. The momentum changed back to Zurdo, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, I didn't like the way he was taking the hits, and I didn't like the way he took a 10 rounder. You know, like um, I think you don't know what's gonna happen in those the 11th and 12th round. You know, so I think that's something that doesn't make me too confident in Zurdo. You know, and his he what I'm hearing, he's kind of like lazy, bro. Like he's like really like old fashioned, I guess, as well, if you want to say that. He
Mhm.
doesn't really do too much lifting, I guess. He just has other way alternatives getting stronger, but because he's already a big dude,
Mhm.
so he was probably thinking of using that length, which he was using great, but Joe's a little old. Also, a fun fact: Joe's actually a journeyman like carpenter or something like that in the union, so he's actually
I
doing
think he's
that.
a foreman now.
Yeah, he's a foreign. He's like full time. He's
Yeah,
full time doing that. So,
yeah.
dude, like that right there, it's like you're forced to do an upper body workout. You know, like
Mhm.
you're forced to do that shit, and that's really all those little things. Kind of throw you off a little bit when you're training. You fix
Mhm.
that in training, but I mean, imagine what you get for with a full time boxer. You get someone with
Yeah.
more cardio. You probably that's probably why Joe Smith wanted to move up as well, because it saves him probably time and it gets him more money. You
Well,
know.
I was actually gonna mention. I don't know if you know this. Joe Smith Jr. Has been making 175 for 16 years of his life.
Wow. So he
He
moved down.
No, 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 no. He went up because
I thought
he
he was
was
at
fighting
160.
at he well this fight was at cruiserweight, so it went up from 175 max to 175 200. So
Mm,
this is he said he's never coming down to 175. He's been doing that for 16 years. Like you mentioned, he's obviously uh 9 to 5 blue collar type of guy.
mm-hmm.
He has something else to look forward to besides getting pummeled in the ring or doing
Yeah.
some pummeling. Um, but see, here's the thing though, he doesn't fight like that, right?
Yeah.
Joe Smith Jr.'s worst performance was against Beterbiev. He looked incredibly bad. I expected that Zurdo, for as undedicated and as unfit of a fighter as he looks to be sometimes, I thought he'd be able to beat Joe Smith Jr. to an inch of his life because Joe Smith Jr. looked so bad in this last fight. He's obviously been fighting at that weight for too many years, and Zurdo is just much more comfortable now that he doesn't really have to suck down. And because he had the height and reach advantage, I figured, okay, he's gonna do something about that. But we also know that Zurdo looked very bad against Bivol, so I was like, oh man, what's gonna happen? This is actually a pretty good fight because both of them looked pretty bad. But Joe Smith Jr., I don't think I've seen him with that many southpaws, but he was very good at fighting a southpaw and Zurdo. And like you said, he hurt him with a lot of punches, and Zurdo didn't look like he was taking him well. If Joe Smith Jr. had dedicated a little more, I think he would have won. And the funny
Mhm.
thing is, he has a 9-5, and he didn't tire out. He kept fighting. He took Zurdos' best shots. This is
Yeah.
his first move. He looks very good for a very small fighter at cruiser. I was very impressed with Joe Smith Jr. God bless him. He came and fought like he's a true boxer. When we know that he's divided between a blue collar job and part time boxing, he still fought like a professional. And Zurdo, he looked like the way the homie Ricky said, he looked like 168 Zurdo. So he moved great. He was more defensive. He was popping that jab. He was doing just a little better work, but he still couldn't take out a smaller fighter that looked like booty in this
Yeah.
last fight.
Ramirez and Joe Smith weighed in at 191 that night, and they that's actually pretty fucking heavy, bro. Goddamn, that's
Yeah.
cruiserweight right there. So um, yeah, that was at the what was it at? Oh yeah, the Cosmopolitan. That's a rare spot. You never hear fights over there.
Yeah, at
Um,
in Vegas, right?
yeah, in Vegas at the Cosmopolitan though. I've actually ran in there or like went in there, and it's kind of small in there. So I wonder how they
It
did
looked
that.
very intimate. It looked very intimate. On to news of the absurd, and I know that we only have a few minutes before we call it a night, but let me just get your opinion on this. Is Terrence Crawford, is he delusional? I don't know if you know this. Check this out. He's backpedaling. Boxing News 24/7 reports on a missive written by Will Aarons. He says Terrence Crawford backpedaling wants Canelo at 160, not 168. Let me ask you something. Is Terrence Crawford a genius? Is Terrence Crawford delusional? Or is Terrence Crawford stupid? Or does Terrence Crawford think we're stupid?
I think he's learning how to be a self promoter. I think he's
I like that.
I think he's learning how to be a
Homie
self
Ricky
promoter.
would love it.
Yeah, I think he's learning how to do all that. I think it's both. I mean not I'm not saying he's stupid. It's just I think I think he mismanaged his words along the way, some
Mhm,
way and somehow. Um I feel like you see people like Canelo.
mhm,
He knows what to say. If
mhm,
certain questions are thrown at him, you already know when Crawford won, Canelo was already had the answer ready. You know, like all right, nah, I'm not gonna like he's probably talking about this with his peers, and he's like, nah, if they ask me that question, I'm gonna just say no. Like just he already has this premeditated thoughts what he's gonna say already. I feel like Terrence um, he was literally tweeting while he was at the thing, and it was really just like an emotional tweet, and it's all business, but you don't burn the bridge, before you talk, like at least hear him out, like you can't just say you don't. He's off my hit list, like you gotta be able to like manage your words better. And then there was probably a point in time where, yeah, he could have said that. He could have
mhm,
said, "Nah, you're on my hit list." And after you see the analytics or what you actually would have been making, but he didn't know what the possibilities would have been. He didn't even bother to talk about the potential fight and talk about numbers. So I feel like, yeah, Terrence does these yeah, like he doesn't premeditate his thoughts. Like he just blabbers it out. So because he wants Canelo, but I feel like he needs to think twice before he speaks, because I'm not saying that he's dumb, but it's just like you got to be a better businessman or self promoter. You got to, you can't just exit X. You can't just write someone off. Jamel can still beat you. He can still beat you, man. He's still the bigger man.
It's
So
because look, he's doing shade and then he's doing anti-shade, right? So he says he wants to fight him at 68, but then he thinks twice about it, and then he says I'll fight him at 160. Now, the reason I call that anti-shade is because it's sort of giving him is he's sort of giving Canelo credit by saying, look, obviously you're too good for me at 168. This meet me at 160, right? Now, that's the anti-shade. But then here comes the shade. He basically takes one of Canelo's interviews from like about 4 years ago, before the famous Errol Spence Jr. car crash, where there was this move to make Errol Spence fight Canelo, and Canelo says something to the effect that, yeah, sure, I'll meet him at 160, fight him, and then Errol Spence went and broke his face, survived that near death experience, and then Canelo never talked about it again because he's like, yeah, I'm never gonna fight that guy because that's ridiculous. And now he's casting shade on him by saying, boy, you said you take him for 160, so why can't you take me? Are you scared? That's what he's saying. But he's trying to A side Canelo to make him lose weight, and to take on this much smaller fighter in Terence Crawford. Um, I think he's feeling himself. Obviously, uh, Terence Crawford is he has a style to beat Canelo. I really do believe that. If he acclimated himself to a weight class, if he had gone up to 160, maybe fought, I don't know, uh, you know, uh, Tim Sue or Charlo at 154, maybe fought somebody at 160, and then eventually fight Canelo at 168 without even really having to acclimate himself. I think he'd do good, but I'm not gonna pay to have him skip all the lines at three divisions just for a money bag, because I'm not about that. I want to see the most competitive fighters, and I don't think you can just put anybody against Canelo and expect that it'll be a competitive fight. We just saw that 2 weeks ago. So I'm just starting to think that Crawford is really rubbing me off wrong. Um, he's taking all the fans that he just made for beating Spence, and he's trying to manipulate him into demanding a fight that some of us more astute, respectful fans of the sport would call cap on, and say, nah, you don't deserve that. You don't deserve that. Just like as much as Tank Davis has talked about bringing up Naoya Inoue with 3 or 4 weight divisions to fight him at 135, hey, he doesn't deserve it. It's not, even if he called
yeah, he
it.
doesn't deserve it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even fair. It's not even fair.
Uh-uh.
So yeah, I just wanted to. And the last news of the day, check this out. So I don't know if you know this, but I'm sure you do. Tyson Fury has apparently signed off to fight Alexander Usyk after his fight with Francis Ngannou, which again, I don't know how that even happens. I think there's a rematch clause. There is a rematch clause for Francis Ngannou. I know that's a ridiculous notion. I don't think it'll ever need a rematch. But just in case, I've always said, if it makes enough money and Tyson Fury carries Francis Ngannou, they might just rematch, thereby postponing a possible Alexander Usyk fight. Now, even if Francis Ngannou won against Tyson Fury, his belt's not on the line, so he doesn't have to risk anything. So he will eventually fight for undisputed against Alexander Usyk, maybe after a rematch or not. But that leaves Philip Hergovic looking for a fight that he's been wanting and he deserves against Alexander Usyk. Now, Alexander Usyk is going to fight for undisputed. So that's why all these sanctioning bodies are saying, yeah, obviously undisputed trumps mandatory. So take that fight in. Now, this is where Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn come in. They have been talking about fighting an unknown fighter for December because Wilder is no longer part of that play because it's not going to take place. I guess the negotiations haven't gone well, but now they're saying that he's likely going to take Philip Hrgovic on for December. At least they're trying to. Let me ask you something. If you were Philip Hrgovic and you're waiting for an opportunity to fight for 3 belts
Who?
against Philip Hrgovic,
Uh-huh.
he's a guy who some people say he lost to what's his name, Zile Zhang.
Zhang. Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. People say Zhang, but I know a little Mandarin, so I think it's Zhang. But I'm just kidding, man. Come on. But anyways, I think Philip is either uh, to fight for all the 3 belts of Alexander Usyk, or he's supposed to fight for what Tyson Fury. So I'm very forgetful right now. But if you were Philip Hrgovic, would you wait for the winner of those of that fight and then demand the fighter? Because here's the thing: whoever wins that fight, the WBC said they have to defend against Hrgovic. So if you are Hrgovic, do you take Anthony Joshua for a fight in December for multi-millions, or do you just take a longer layoff to see who the winner is, and then fight for all those belts?
I think AJ would be a high risk fight. I'm not saying he's like a world beater or anything like that. He could
Mhm.
beat him. I think it's just too high risk. I think he needs to go with the sure bet. I think I'd feel a little better. Uh, well, just the thing, Zhang is learning a thing or two. I feel like he's getting better as well, but he's
Mhm.
only building confidence. But I feel like I think he should wait. I don't think he should fight AJ. I think
Mhm.
that's just too high risk. He's been in some big fights, so I feel like he's emotionally a little better, better off. But I feel like he should get his get back with Zhang.
Mhm.
Zhang did beat him, in my opinion, but I mean, if he did it once, then I'd feel a little confident doing it twice if I was Hergovich, Um, yeah, man. Who did he fight last time? I was watching this fight last time. Oh yeah, it was against some guy named Dempsey McKeon or something like that. He was
Dempsey McKean.
Yeah, he was a pretty good. That McKeon guy was pretty damn good. So I feel like he actually built his name up, and Hergovich was the one that did him a favor. Even though he won the fight, he
Mhm.
Dempsey looked really good against Hergovich, but he has a different style. He's not like Zhang. He's like more your traditional defensive fighter because he was defensively sound, but it's just he had no pop, in the heavyweight division, and that's something that you're gonna need. But if I was
Yeah.
Hergovich, I would fight Zhang. Honestly, I'll try
A
to take that.
rematch?
Yeah, I think I feel kind of good on that or a tune-up fight, or I'd wait around a little longer. Um, but I don't know. I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like you should go for a belt at least, because AJ, I wouldn't say AJ, but he don't have a belt,
Yeah,
So
and that's the move. I think Eddie Hearn is trying to convince Philip Hrgovic to fight him because whoever wins would have a shot at the belts between the winners of Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. Now, the weird thing is that the report that I read, they called it a unification fight
huh.
between Usyk and Fury. I'm not too sure why they're not calling it an undisputed, but they called it a unification. Maybe it was just a mistake. Not too sure. Maybe the writer was in a hurry, but that's what he called it. And I was like, okay, not too sure what that's about. But I think there's a development of a vacancy or something like that. Um, and maybe that's why Filip Hrgovic has first dibs at whoever wins for the IBF. Very interesting. I really have to read a little more into it, acquaint myself more. But I know that some of these news are just hot off the press, and sometimes you just have to read them out and see where our thoughts run. But yeah, very interesting maneuvers. I do believe you're right. Anthony Joshua, Filip Hrgovic, a very dangerous fight that might just actually have AJ win and strip Filip Hrgovic of ever becoming a heavyweight champion. And then we would likely have Joshua fight up against the winner. And in my opinion, I'm not too sure about you, but I think Alexander Usyk might just beat Tyson Fury, and then we'd see a three-peat of Joshua versus Alexander Usyk, which is not something that I want to see because I don't think Joshua will ever
No,
beat that guy.
no, I think. Well, I think Joshua still wants to find a way in to a belt at least. They've been cooking up that fight for a minute though. I'm hearing AJ and Zhang. They've been trying to make that fight, or just people been calling for that fight at least
Mm,
for a while. It's just not looking likely. I don't think AJ's people want that for him. I think they want that safe route. Um, they still want to make that money. So they were on the verge, bro. Like when he fought Franklin,
mhm,
like that fight, man. That fight was so important, and there was a tune-up. It was so important because if he lost to Franklin, man, that would have ruined everything for him. Like he probably wouldn't have ever gotten a shot. And I feel like every fight that he's in now, it's pretty much like not do or die, but it's like your journey's gonna be even longer now. You gotta
mhm.
wait. He's gotta wait at least till next year for a title shot. Um, yeah, it's just every single fight at this point is gonna be high risk. You know, for him. You know,
Yeah, there's
Hergovich
so
high
much
risk.
writing on him, huh?
Yeah, Hergovich is high risk. I feel like Zhang is high risk.
Yeah.
I feel like mm, now that I see Joe Joyce, I don't see him that highly. Um, I think he AJ had already beat him in the amateurs,
Hmm.
but I think AJ's just so high risk, man. You don't know what you're gonna get out of him.
I think it's more high risk, Drew, just because he's not letting his hands go. Like
Yeah.
he's just not daring to like expose himself to some harm. He's not
Hmm.
willing to give take one to give one, and that's the thing.
I
He has to, because I know he's a powerful knockout artist. I know he can
Yeah,
be.
and I think Rick was saying Andy versus AJ, and I like it. I like that one, but I think that one. Okay, I guess timing does matter. If AJ loses, the hype isn't there anymore. I get it, but you can still go back to that.
Yeah,
That's you can still put that in the archives and wait until shit hits the fan, and then if AJ loses one more time, he can go back to that fight.
yeah.
And it's still gonna be a great fight. I think it still sells. I
I
think that.
agree. I agree. I was just giving the homie Ricky crap about it, but no, you're right. That fight does have allure. It does. It is a rebound fight. I mean, one guy won one, the other guy
Mhm.
won the other. Let's see who seals the deal
and
with one last shot.
and I don't see Andy. I mean, Andy just ruined his chance. He overpriced himself. So now he's saying, or he did like months ago. He said, "Now I want less. I can take less." And they're like, "No, it's too late, dude. Like this is business. Like you
You
took it
mean
for
with
granted.
Wilder?
Yeah, with Wilder, you took it for granted. That was his chance right there for a title opportunity right there.
Yeah.
But
You
they.
know,
Mhm.
he came up with another video saying, I never told you 20 million. He says, we never really gave a number. It's mostly, negotiation tactics. And so, you when you're negotiating, you start off high. Like you don't. sell yourself low, right? You always go high to
Yeah, but
come down low.
they represent themselves though. That's the thing. They don't. I don't think they have like that management that they're talking about. Like they're literally just negotiating for themselves without
That's
any
bad.
education.
Yeah,
You know.
that's
So,
bad.
yeah. So they overprice themselves. They don't. They're and it's their dad. They're Andy's trying to blame his dad, but it's like, bro, like this is whose money is it, yours or is your dad's? Like who's fighting, you or your dad? Like honestly, like he overpriced himself out and he messed it up, honestly. Now he's got to go the long route and and just pretty much call people out. That's pretty
Yeah,
much
but
what
you
he
know
has to
what,
do now.
Drew? That's a shame because with Andy Ruiz having priced himself out from a possible Deontay Wilder fight, you know who also missed out on all that money, whether it's 10 million, 7 million, 20 million, 40 million, whatever, is Deontay Wilder. I mean, look at what Deontay Wilder's
He still
what
brings
is
in
he gonna
money.
do? Yeah,
He
but against who? Like, what are the people calling him out? Who is like? I haven't heard of
Man,
any name.
there's still AJ for him. They can both bank out on that fight, and that's a fight that Wilder would actually retire on.
Yeah, yeah, and so would AJ. But the thing is this: the
Yeah.
reason why they're moving past that, apparently with Eddie Hearn, he said the negotiations aren't gonna go anywhere. That's why he's not gonna fight Deontay Wilder in December, nor in January or
Mm.
February, and that's why they're looking for another opponent. So it's like Deontay Wilder's like 40 years of age, right? He's
Yeah, but
like,
he's yeah, I mean,
yeah,
he's
40.
the hardest hitter in the heavyweight division, arguably.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you're not able to get anybody in the ring. I mean, look, I
Yeah.
think Andy Ruiz will get you a good payday. I think Anthony Joshua will get you a great payday. But somehow, uh, either somebody's negotiating in bad faith or very bad numbers, or maybe it's the pride of these fighters. I get it. But while they're trying to play hardball negotiation tactics, they're letting their boxing career slip away. And by the time that Deontay Wilder decides to come back, guess what? It's easy to knock out your sparring partner that was prepping you for Tyson Fury and Robert Helenius in one round. That's great because you know him, because you fight him every day, because he's your sparring partner. But another thing is to take on a fighter like Andy Ruiz, if Andy Ruiz comes to fight, right? Because that's a dangerous fighter, regardless of who it is. Even Anthony Joshua, if he decides to come, it'll be to fight. It'll be a very hard fight for Deontay Wilder because it's not like Deontay Wilder just you know he's the most accurate puncher. I mean, he misses so much because if he's a knockout artist with one punch and some of his fights are going the whole way, that just means he misses a lot. Um, but he's likely gonna regret, like Andy Ruiz will regret having just sat down and tried playing hardball.
Yeah. No, he missed an opportunity of a lifetime. I feel like it's his ego. He's getting comfortable too. I don't like his I guess I don't what he because we only know what he puts out on his social media and YouTube and all that. So after
Mhm.
that, we don't know anything about him, but we know what he puts out there, and you see how comfortably he lives. And I'm not saying like materials, but I'm saying like materialistic stuff. I'm saying like look at the way he gets fat so fast, bro. And I feel like once he gets comfortable, he gets a lot of money. I feel
Mhm.
like everything just he doesn't care about anything anymore. That's the feel I get from him. Like he just gets paid and then just dips out and then just kind of says I need money again. You know. So I
You
feel
mean
like
Andy Ruiz?
yeah, Andy Ruiz. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he just takes it for granted. He takes it all for granted. He just lives a different lifestyle when he has the money. Now he's like he needs. I don't know if he needs money, but I know damn well he hasn't fought in a while. So you know, he that was he's not getting the million that paycheck anymore. He's going through all that divorce stuff. So
And
um,
then with the PBC and this
Oh, that too.
unpredictable.
He's got to wait for that shit to go down to get opportunity. So he's kind of in the hard, rock and hard place. You know, like he's just he just got to learn how to like not be the A side. You know, like or not try to act like the A side. You know, he knows he's a B side. It's just you acting like you negotiating like the A side. It's like, come on, bro. Uh, nah, man. He messed that up, bro. He was supposed to be the first Mexican, the multi-time champion. You know, uh, he's capable of doing that when he's focused. You know, um, yeah, he just needs to open his mouth a lot more. I feel like he needs to start calling dudes
But
out.
not stuff it with food though.
he need, he needs to call people out, I guess, and do things the old-fashioned way. But I don't know where he goes from here because I still gotta check out what's going on with the whole situation with PBC and all that. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Drew? You've obviously been following up on a lot on the sport. I know the homie Ricky has. I'm not too sure what we did to upset him, but I know that he had told me that he was gonna let you and I cook because he had a lot of other things to
That's what he said. Yeah.
yeah, he did. So I don't think he was really upset. I just think he got a little animated right there. And he thinks that we're interrupting him. It's not that. It's just that I know what you're saying. Let me answer that because you don't have to go like he called you on the tangent for speaking for 10 seconds. I'm like, man, I had already told him I'm going to take a back seat because I think my my strength is in presenting you guys with questions to answer. Because see, I don't care too much about my opinion. I care more about knowing how other people think. So I follow the news and I can analyze and deduce things on my own. But again, since I don't care about my opinion too much, I like to hear what other people think.
Hey,
So I
well,
like.
one last question was Rick asking the same question or was it me?
No, I think he was asking the same question.
Yeah, I was like, I was kind of, I was like, I was confused. I was like, wait, did I answer this already? I was gonna answer it the same way, but
No, he sort of answered it. He sort of, but it's because I think the homie Ricky wants to hear uh
shade.
he, well, no, he wants to ask a question so that you can answer it until he hears what he wants to hear. I don't think he understood what your concept of consistency was. I think it maybe conflicted with what he thought consistency is. I think the zone is consistent, but if you ask me to explain it and I explain it, he will disagree with what my consistency is. Maybe because he's trying to invalidate what we think consistent is. But no, no, no. I think the homie Ricky, he's not being stubborn. I just think maybe he's reading too much into it. But then again, here's the thing. I'll tell you the truth. The homie Ricky is much sharper than I am. He's much brighter. He's able to uh, put things together way better than me. That's why,
But
in
okay,
fact,
so what else can you do consistently in this topic of conversation?
the way that I thought we were doing right, I thought you were answering it correctly. Like you said, he's consistently providing us fights that lead to upsets. Where he puts on the most female fights, like I was
And
like,
then he
well,
said
and
consistently what? I'm like,
yeah,
oh, oh, oh.
look, I know, like, oh, like, I know, it's like, no, no, I get it. When he says the same thing, it's like, wait, did I misunderstand him? Like, you
Yeah,
question
I
yourself,
was lost. I was thinking about it. I was about to rewind and be like, wait, let me ask say that again.
Rewind your brain.
Like I wasn't trying. I was like, well, so confused. But to where I was like, I was like, I thought I was high. I was like, am I too high? But
Yeah, my thing was this. It was plain and simple. For bang for buck, the zone is the best thing that I subscribe to. That does not mean they put up the most compelling fights. The PBC obviously tore it up this year, but again, it's very expensive. That's all I was saying. I was
yeah,
trying to say my idea of the zone is bang for buck. I get the most for my money. And he was trying to say I don't care about money What I care about is the product that they present. And I'm saying,
Yeah.
well, it's easy to make five great fights if that's all you do in one year. Five against 50. Of course, you're gonna have some mediocre events when you're throwing so many up there, but you're also paying way less for that. But maybe he's just a big PBC fan, and I get it. I get it. Um, Drew. I know that you're a busy individual. I know that we've kept you up. Uh, I promise. I told the homie Ricky, I'm gonna ask questions. I don't want to give my opinion. I want you and the homie Ricky to cook, and that's what I'm telling you right now. Going forward, I'm just gonna ask questions. I'm gonna do reports on the news, and then ask you guys to interpret what they mean to you. The homie Ricky is a great orator. When he starts the show, I don't even like to hop on too early because he can go for 20 minutes of introduction, and I think it's some of the most amazing preparations for a show. If you listen to him, you'll get historical context, you'll get valid opinions, unique ideas just from the intro. And I'm like, man, I envy that guy because he's so articulate and so imaginative. But I've also told them I like Drew's honesty, even though obviously you're the one that's not as informed, or maybe you're not as a big follower of the news and sports as much as me and this guy have been for many years. The fact that you're more casual than us is a very refreshing way to approach the sport, because I don't. I like to think that innocently. So from now on, I'm letting you guys know right now, the homie Ricky, I know you're back. I'm gonna let you guys cook more. I want to do more of the news report and ask you guys questions, but I'm not gonna interrupt you guys anymore because I want to hear you guys. All right?
So hold on. So did you see what he just said, Drew? That's a backhanded compliment, bro.
Oh my God!
Wait,
Oh,
let
What's
me
wrong with
listen.
this guy?
hold
Go
on, we
ahead, go.
weren't going to interrupt. That was a backhanded compliment for you, Drew, because you are in tune more than what Speed wants to be on. And dude, you pay attention to amateur games and amateur, and
Yeah.
you're into amateur fighters. So
Oh
I
yeah, I
want
should say that
I
you're
want
right
I
on
want to.
that. Yeah.
I'm just saying. Now I don't know what it is that you guys have been going on about. I, I've been doing some errands chores right now, but look, man, you guys still didn't ask the question of what consistent that the zone, what's the product? You know what I'm saying? Like for instance,
He's trolling
when I
Drew.
know when I buy something that's nice, I understand that I'm gonna get something that's quality, something that's flamboyant, something that's gonna be almost everlasting. If I buy a pair of Jordan shoes, right, I know that I'm gonna get fucking quality stuff. So when I try to ask you guys when you guys use the word consistency when it comes down to the zone product, you guys fail to answer that question. It's a very simple question, and you guys
Okay.
couldn't give anything other than like they've been consistently giving me good fights, and I'm like, okay, so what fights what fights were those? But since you
That
guys,
happened consistently. They only the fight happened 3 times a year. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
they only give you 3 times 3 good fights the whole year. I agree with you, Drew. But
yeah.
what I'm saying is like it's all good though. Did you guys
Was that wrong? Was I wrong? They fight 3 times a year usually, right?
I don't know, bro. I'm not very impressed with the product. Like for instance, since they have since they always have consistent fighters that get caught cheating, right? I feel
That's a different story.
I feel like they should always go ahead and maximize that opportunity and go and investigate. Send out some investigative journalists. Have some behind the scenes interview Dylan White. Hey, Dylan White, this is your third or fourth time defense. You popped dirty for Povetkin, as
That's
you also
matchroom,
did
no?
other ones, even against that you got beat by and still gave you the decision. What the fuck is going on in your camp? Hey, same thing with you, Dominic Ingle, and your fighters of Kid Galahad, Billy Joe Saunders with the nasal spray. Since all your fighters keep popping dirty, what are you guys doing? What are you supplying? Do some investigative journalism.
Isn't that matchroom?
The zone doesn't do neither. For instance, we talked about how they have a great opportunity right now to do some investigative journalism on Virgil Ortiz. What is going
Mm.
on with that rambiosis situation that his muscles keep depleting? Is he overworking himself? Is his father at the is he the main principal and cause of such situation? And guess what? They don't. So when I try to ask you guys a question
They
like,
don't what?
is the zone quality? Do they give out great content? Are they filling out the void that HBO left? And guess what?
Oh yeah.
It's no, 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 and no. You guys, I
Yeah,
don't
no, they, but
wait, wait,
homie,
wait.
no one can do that.
Barely hopped on, and you guys can't listen. So what I'm trying to tell you is this: when you guys make an argument of why the zone is consistent, it should be a very straightforward thing. So you guys bring in your talking points. You guys didn't offer really any, so I'm just kind of like, all right, nowhere. So that's that native. Did you guys talk about I don't know Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn and what the future of the zone in Matchroom? It basically got a notification based saying something about like a debit card.
Yeah, yeah, we addressed that. We talked about the possible fights between John Ryder and Jaime Mugia, Alexis Rocha versus Connor Ben, and Ryan Garcia versus the winner of Regis Progra, or Devin Haney between them. So yeah, we addressed that. We did the news roundup. We talked about how Filip Hrgovic has to decide whether he's gonna take on a possible AJ fight in December, and risk losing to him, and risking the opportunity to fight for the winner between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury, which is obviously going to be many, many months away into the future, because Francis Ngannou has a rematch clause on Tyson Fury. And like I said, if Tyson Fury carries Francis Ngannou, and they make a lot of money, I would say Tyson Fury is a scumbag enough to implement the rematch clause. Um, so we talked about that. We talked about how Surdo and and uh, and Terence Crawford are talking irrationally, uh, calling out Canelo. Like, I mean, what does Surdo want Canelo for at cruiserweight? And now Terence Crawford is talking about bringing Canelo down to 160. It sounds so stupid, but yeah, we did the news roundup. The homie Ricky.
Okay,
We
so you
mostly
guys
talked about those things.
out some fights that are actually happening this Saturday, right? Like Tim Sue against Brian Mendoza.
We did not.
Yeah,
Let's make it a subject tomorrow.
that's the news roundup, bro. The other stuff is just nonsense. You're talking
That's
about.
a subject tomorrow then.
Yeah.
That's a really good topic. I had to do a little more research on Brian Mendoza because I
Hmm.
know I've seen that Jesus Ramos fight, but as you saw, Jesus Ramos didn't have el gusto, el orgullo to fucking beat the shit out of Erickson Lubin. Wanted just to fucking look all mediocre and just be all conservative and passive. What a dork
Yeah.
for so many fights.
The Dork Hammer.
Lubin, I don't expect
Dork.
a guy that gets knocked out and gets put in the fetal position, sucking on his thumb in one round against Jermell.
What's going on here?
I thought you were gonna say sucking on his toes or something. I was like, what?
Brian
Oh
Mendoza.
goodness.
I want to see if he's a live dog against Tim Kangaroo Zoo. But
Oh,
yeah,
homie Ricky. So Mr. Vince Vargas had asked maybe about 40 minutes ago about Joe Goosen. You know, I'm not too sure if you remember, but Joe Goosen had a brother. I'm not too sure if his name was Dan, but Dan Goosen was the promoter. Joe Goosen was the trainer. The older Goosen brother died a few years ago, and he had a promotional company. He wanted to know if you knew who assumed the company or if it continued. I haven't seen the Goosen name.
Peace out, guys.
Okay, Drew, have a wonderful night, my friend. We'll talk
All right,
tomorrow.
man. All
have
right,
a good
man.
night,
Peace
brother.
out, guys.
And
Peace.
he had asked whether or not we knew if the Goosen promotions company continued. I haven't seen it since he died, and I was trying to say that once men like that pass away, it's hard to fill in that void. So I'm not too sure if the Goosen promotions is still around. I know that Joe Goosen is still training. He just most recently was released by Ryan Garcia after having lost to Gervonta Davis. But do you know anything about the Grusin promotions?
Nah, I think I'm not gonna say that they went under, but I don't think their family picked it up. Dan
Yeah.
and what's the other Thompson Promotions? I think both of them, they just, I don't know if they sold the company or they just, just not declared bankrupt, but just no longer continue the shows.
Yeah.
Boxing comes from, you have to be really passionate about this fucking sport because it's not, it's a brutal sport. It's a very corrupt sport. And there's a
Mm,
lot of snakes out there basically looking to exploit you. And
mm,
so I don't know. Again, you have to be really passionate about it to deal with a lot of people that are just trying to get into your pocket. So I don't know if the Goosen, legacy has continued. I know that, just kind of deviating a little bit from Goosen, Tom Loeffler, the promoter or was the promoter of Triple G, I know that he still does a little bit of shows in around the area because
mm,
a local native kid, Jorge Maravillo, he's been fighting in his, as undercards on his promotional company banner. I think
mm,
last time they had a fight a little down south. So I know Tom Loeffler's still around, but I don't even know if Kathy Duva, the promoter or ex promoter of Sergey Kovalev, I don't know if she's still around. So yeah, man, there's been a lot of promoters that just kind of vanished into thin air, so to speak. Like I don't even see too much about Pro Bellum and Richard Schaefer. I don't even know if they're still a thing and whatever happened with them. Regis Prograde was under Pro Bellum, but he was pretty vocal and showed a lot of disdain towards, being active and headlining certain type of events. But yeah, man, it kind of sucks, man. Like I'm reading a little bit of the comments. Yeah, man, those promoters, especially Joe Goosen, the trainer, they have a
mm.
presence, right? That you can like, oh man, yeah, they wear the denim leather jackets and stuff like that. So they're very, yeah, they stand out of the crowd. But yeah, man, that's the thing about boxing is that there's always room for innovation. There's always room for a new player, and
Mm.
this is where I was trying to deviate the conversation. But it wasn't that I'm looking for a correct answer. It's just that you guys gotta like be very aggressive and passionate about your guys' talking points. You guys tend
Mm.
to deviate. Um,
Yeah. So here's
what?
another thing. Now that you're talking about you know, those type of fighters promotions and things of that sort. And you mentioned Jorge Maravillo from Salinas, California. Funny enough that you mentioned it. I'm not too sure if you know this, but Mr. Robert Garcia, the trainer, he's promoting his own fights now.
Mm,
And he has this thing called House of Champions. Mr. Robert Garcia's House of Champions 4 slams into Chancey Park on November the 17th. So, in about a month's time or so, a month and a week, we will have Mr. Robert Garcia presenting to us. Uh, Let me see how many fighters. One,
or Gabe Flores
two, three,
as a House of
four, five.
Champions.
Yeah, five fights for $29 in the city of Fresno, 1800 Tulare Street in Fresno, California, Chancey
Yeah.
Park. And check this out. Guess who's headlining the card?
Oh yeah, Gabe Flores, man.
Yup. So
Yep.
I guess he's been
Oh,
released
I
by
call.
Top Rank.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. And you said this is Robert Garcia's promotional company or their type of this
Well,
this is his.
yeah, I suppose so because it's actually called Robert Garcia's House of Champions.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, no, I know two guys from Salinas are fighting on there, Drew Superfly and then
Look,
Jorge Maravillo and then Gabe Flores. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
no, look at who's. Are you looking at the flyer? Do you see
No,
the little guy with the squinty eyes?
no, I'm just going based on what I know.
Okay, uh, Jesse James. Uh, Jesse James from Gilroy, California. He's in there. If I'm not mistaken, that Jesse James Guerrero. He's Robert Guerrero's nephew. He's fighting there also. This is a very good card of good up and comer Central and Northern California boxing. This is going to be very interesting. $29 to homie Ricky on the Friday. That sounds quite possible.
But
That
what do you mean
sounds. Hmm?
$29 Friday? Are you talking about like to buy tickets, or is it a pay-per-view thing?
No, no, no. $29 is what they cost to the tickets start at 29 bucks.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's pretty cool stuff, man. Yeah, that's I'm glad that so does that mean that what's that
I
kid
think so. Gabe
is he
Flores.
the agent then?
I think it's a free agent. Yeah, because I mean, you can't. You can't be losing the kind of fights the way that you lost them for Top Rank and expect to continue your Top Rank is in the business of making hard fighters or superstars. And Gabriel Flores had the right look, had the right story to make something of it. Unfortunately, he ran into Venado uh, and that other cat, and it just probably upended the dreams of Mr. Bob Barham to make him
Yeah, but
Northern California.
it's like I understand what you're saying in terms of top rank, but Gabe Flores is only 23 years old right now, and
Yeah,
he's fighting the likes of Venado Lopez, who, as we ended up finding out, is a real strong champion. You see what I'm saying? Now, at the time that Venado beat Flores, Venado was a plus 1,300 underdog. I remember that. Um, so yeah, and then he also ended up beating guys like Tiburon, Andy Vences from San Jose. He went on a freaking amazing run and is still continuing to go on an amazing run. And
mm,
literally unified versus Roby C. Ramirez. So it's like this kid's 23 years old. He's got nothing but room for growth. I mean, look at Keyshawn Davis. He's like 25, 26 years old, and he's fighting nobodies.
yeah,
So imagine, and I know he only has like 10 fights, but that's what happens when you turn pro at a relatively young age at 17 years old. And Gabriel Flores is that you have time on your hands to build
hmm,
where you're very young, where you can still learn a lot, develop a lot, get stronger, and getting it showed that he had tons of heart, going and getting blasted by Venado Lopez for 10 rounds. Because a lot
yeah,
of people were critical of his father for not stopping the fight. Like, oh man, you're ruining your son. You shouldn't
yeah.
work corner because you don't look out the best interest. But again, these are growing pains that a young lad at the age of 23 years old can withstand because he's got nothing but it's uphill from here if you really look at it like that. At 23 years old, you're not quote unquote a shot fighter. You see what I'm saying?
Dude,
So
this is gonna be a hell of a good event. The homie Ricky, they start at 29 bucks. Uh, field tickets. So like not the first row, but going there 150 bucks. Ringside 250, and they even have luxury or VIP tables and suites. I like suites. I don't really like. I love people, but from afar. I like my own little room. I like my own view. I like to be spoiled. So suites, I'm looking at that right there. But check this out: 10 fights starting at $29. Vic Pasillas from Redwood City, Jorge Maravillo, Salinas, Miguel Contreras, all knockout power. Jesse Guerrero, Jesse James Guerrero, undefeated and from Salinas. Celebrities. Expected former unified world champion Jose Ramirez, sensational four division world champion Mikey Garcia, and of course, Mr. Robert Garcia. This is on a Friday, man. This sounds very good. This sounds like the kind of place I want to be at. So I'm just gonna say right there, you can get your tickets at FresnoGrizzlies.com. Fresno Fresno Grizzlies GRIZZ as in zebra LIES.com /events, or you can bring them up at 559-320-8497. Again, that is 559-320-8497. Get your tickets. It sounds like it's gonna be a heck of a great event. And so, if anybody's in Central Valley, and the Valley, Fresno, whatever that region is called, go and get yourself some action on the cheap on a Friday night, and then I'm sure there's going to be boxing on the Saturday, but this is a great opportunity to rub elbows and mingle with former champions, up and comers, and great men.
Yeah, right on, man. I'll check out that flyer in a bit, Vince. Appreciate it, bro. Do you know if this is Robert Garcia's first event of the House of Champions? So they've been doing this.
Fourth. This is the fourth.
This is the
Um,
fourth time they've done it.
Yeah, this is the fourth, and I think the last one was just barely like a month ago. So it must be like a raging success for for Mr. Robert Garcia to be doing it so frequently. Let me see. The last one, the House of Champions 3, was October the 7th. That was,
That was just this weekend.
yeah. He's doing it every month apparently.
Oh,
Um,
that's good. That's a good hustle right there, man. That's good stuff.
Yeah, that is good stuff. And apparently this one has all kind. But yeah, look, these cats right here that I'm looking at, I've seen some of them fight. I don't know their names, but if you look at their faces, the homie Ricky, I know you've seen these guys fight, maybe even locally. So, but House of Champions 3 just took place over this weekend, and they're having another one in about a month's time. He obviously is a hustler. He has connections. He's able to make people sit on their seats and watch the action. And I'm so happy that this is happening because Fresno, believe it or not, homie Rick, is not that far from Salinas. It's about 3 hour drive. And right now with the weather, it's very permitting because I doubt it's as hot as as it is in the summer. I think I'm gonna go.
Yeah, no, that sounds pretty cool, man. Yeah,
Oh man.
ever
Well, we're gonna have to.
I
We're
don't
gonna
know.
have to.
I don't know if they teamed up with Ellie Setback and ES News, but there was that time when they were giving us exclusive content, especially during that Mikey Garcia when he was sparring Marcos Maidana for the Floyd Mayweather preparation. But yeah, man, the reason I bring that up is because Robert Garcia has developed like a very cult following and a lot of support because of that association with ES News and Ellie Setback, and when they were giving us a lot of content, even though it's very repetitive, and it was just quantity, not really quality. They had some good moments of giving, Ryan Tanahara, Virgil Ortiz, Bam Bam Rodriguez, a lot of exposure during that time. Yeah, so Robert, I'm glad that Robert and Mikey are doing great things and still
Mhm.
staying around the sport of boxing. Besides just training, actually getting into the promotional aspect of not only building their own company, but maybe even their own stable of fighters. Maybe
Wow.
and team up with Marv Nation and things of that nature. Because I like Marv Nation's content and like their online website. They have some pretty good stuff going with them. But yeah, like I've said, especially now that Showtime leaving the game, right? This is where I was trying to go with in terms of this conversation is
Mhm.
there are voids to be filled.
Mhm.
There's rumors that everyone's talking about Amazon Prime and PBC, but man, there literally can be a new player. Like Jim Lampley can be a commentator or hell his own promotional company and bring in Max Kellerman, Teddy Alice, Paulie Malignaggi, Jamal Ronaldo, and do their own thing. Um, and hell, even the zone can make a play out of a whole lot of things. It's finding like diamonds in the rough and
Yeah.
build aspect. This is what I was trying to get to. It's like, sure, they've landed on the moon, right? But what have you been? What's the impression? What is the everlasting thing that you're like, man, I gotta tune in, Friday night at 10 p.m. because they have, boxing after dark with Max Kellerman, Paulie Malignaggi, has that the zone has filled ever since HBO and now Showtime has left. This is what I'm trying to say is like the moon is there to be taken. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Whether it's Eddie Hearn, but it's like Eddie Hearn, I feel me like this is how I feel is ever since he's gone into the American market
Mhm.
and he's tapped into certain fighters and content, his fan base at the UK, there's a void to be filled over there. and Sky Sports try to bring in Ben Shalom, but they haven't filled it. And Eddie
Yeah.
Hearn, that he hasn't filled anything here in the United States.
Hmm. Um. So I'm
Never
not too
fought
sure.
back here again.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. No. I get what you were saying, the homie. I get what you were saying.
Garcia has his
Um.
own little situation going on because yeah, I'm very interested. Do you know, besides them hosting their own fights, are they going to have like a YouTube channel, anything associated with it? Is there like live that they're going to be showing it or streaming it, you know?
No. 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 I don't know that yet, the homie. But you know what? I uh I will reach out to them because they do have the on the flyer that I seen, it does have some contact information. So I'm gonna actually, Mr. Robert Meridian, who's program no, not program, uh Jose Jose Ramirez, and what's his name, the guy who just lost uh to uh to Richardson Hitchens, uh that's his promoter. um and so he's involved in that. So I'm sure that a lot of this has to do with Mr. Meridian being able to use some of the connections to bring fighters into the stable. But no, I'm sure that I will reach out to them. I either call them because their number is there, or maybe just ask if they have any kind of production to maybe display their fights, exhibit their fights on the YouTube, or maybe through some kind of a link. Because one of the boxing companies that I follow, which is Country Box. Country Box is a a Tennessee-based company that plays country music and boxing. So they play between fights. They play some country music. They showcase some country talent. I love the whole idea of music, and boxing is so fun. And then the people from Tennessee are very very friendly. You have blacks,
Like
browns. You have
Triller,
um.
so
Well,
like
I don't think I ever seen a Triller event.
Mo Lopez would fight and stuff like that.
Wait, is Triller the one where Snoop Dogg and everybody else was smoking weed like idiots?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, no. Country Box is a very respectable environment, um, where it's just friendly people, friendly Tennesseans that
wait, very friendly too though.
who is it?
Snoop Dogg is very friendly too.
Yeah, but they don't act like clowns. Like, I mean,
Wow.
remember in that fight, they were cussing and drinking and doing all kinds of stuff. That's not a very professional environment. Some people can take offense to those things, right? Um, Nonetheless, I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody, but Country Box is a free fight night once or twice a month. You can just subscribe to them or go to visit them at countrybox.com, write down the dates, and then those when you want to on that date, all you have to do is just visit their page and they'll broadcast it, or you can add yourself to their email roster, and then they'll send you a link whenever the dates are, and you just click on the link, and then you get to watch good fights. It's free. So far I've not been disappointed.
Selling me a product, bro. What's going on here, man?
I'm just trying to tell you. I'm just trying to tell you that the smaller companies sometimes do broadcast their fights. So I'm not too sure if Mr. Robert Garcia is, but I will look into it. If not, again, if you're local and you're in California and you got the time, head on over there and you're gonna watch 10 fights for starting at $30. That sounds incredible. Tell
So
you what.
somehow boxing is associated with Robert Garcia and the House of Champions, huh?
Yeah, and Robert Garcia. What kind of fighters did they make from Fresno? What kind of fighters come from the Robert Garcia camp? Very hard, hellacious pugs. That's what they are. Just hard fighting men that give it all, and they never seem to tire out. And they're very relatively balanced and skillful, well-rounded fighters. I think it's a heck of a deal. I think I'm really gonna go.
Yeah, no, man. They Fresno has had some pretty good quality or respectable fighters out of that area. Jose Ramirez probably the biggest one, but there's also like I think Mark Castro, the guy that looks like Elon Musk. Um I think he's also out of Fresno, and he'll
Yeah,
sometimes to those car shows.
he's a
That,
good kid. He's come over here to Salinas.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, no, man. I mean, I'm excited. Like I said, there's holes to be filled in terms of the sport of boxing. It's gonna come down to not just innovation, but when you talk about consistency, which you guys lack to really understand and appreciate, you have to have a shtick, right? A cachet. It could
Yeah,
be
no. Listen, let me
a
explain to
brand.
you what consistency means to me. Maybe my explanation of what consistency is not to your liking, but let me explain. Uh, let me explain what consistency means by using PBC as an example.
No, it would
PBC, wait up. PBC has consistently,
not a hand here.
wait up. PBC. This is the best way for me to understand, to let you know that I understand the concept of consistency. PBC has consistently over marinated fights and sold it to us for premium dollars, and they never lived up to the hype. That's consistency.
Okay.
So I understand the concept of consistency. And they're the most expensive product, and they offer the less boxing. That's another form of consistency. The PBC is consistently the most expensive product in boxing that over marinates fights. I don't know how else to explain
Hi. What is over marinating mean?
it. Come on, homie Ricky. I'm not gonna expound on an idea like that. You know
No,
what it means.
for it
You know what it means.
was Caleb Plant versus. Check this out. This is the timeline. Caleb Plant and David Benavidez, right? David Benavidez was a champion at the age of 20. Now he's 25 years old, or he might have been at 20, 21 years old. I'm not too sure. Caleb Plant, when he knocked out or it dropped Jose Gutagi, let's say that was back in like 2020, right? So when they had those fighters, so that was since they fought this year, it's been about 3 years of marination, right? Caleb ended up getting knocked out by Canelo Alvarez in 2022 or 2021, sometime around that area. So that was like three years of marination between giving us Caleb Plant and David Benavidez, right? What about Errol Spence and Bud Crawford? You can say
Look,
that marination process took what 5 years since they first met when
the
Crawford
PB
welterweight, what, 2018, 2019?
the PBC over marinated Plant and Benavides, so that they ended up fighting when they were already non-champions, and one of them was already defeated and even knocked out. That's what I mean by that,
Let me tell you,
right?
let me propose this. What if
Is that true or not?
over marinating? What if that was their plan all along? So what I mean was they
But we,
want
we can speculate what their plan is. I'm just
hold
telling
on.
you what the facts is.
That wasn't their plan. They weren't interested in that fight. Sam Lukowicz told you
But
we
the
have to
fans
let
were though.
we have to let these guys build up the profiles. Along the way, Caleb Plant ended up fighting Canelo Alvarez, got paid 10 million, and his name became much more well known because he had an amazing press conference and they slapped the shit out of each other, Canelo and Plant. You know,
Yeah, homie. But
uh,
see, you love the whole theatrics
so
of
what I'm
it.
trying theatrics is very important in terms of a buildup.
I matter more.
So,
What matters
let
more to me is the fights.
let me tell you this. And guess what? Caleb Plant got invaluable experience fighting Canelo Alvarez,
It
which is
didn't.
why he
It
didn't get
didn't
knocked out.
translate for when he fought Benavides.
So what I'm trying to tell you is over time, you talk about over marinating. I know I think they fought at the correct time. For
I
it
don't think. Whoa, come on.
let me
How are you gonna
explain.
tell me?
Let
How are you
me
gonna tell me that you'd rather watch Benavides fight Plant after Plant's been knocked out instead of when they were both younger and fresher and undefeated and both of them held belts?
hold on because
What's crazy? You're
their,
crazy, bro.
their profiles got bigger.
No, no, no. See, that's how they get you. See,
No,
that's how they get you.
I'm not saying I wouldn't want to
You
see.
fall for that stuff all the time, bro.
Hold
You
on,
fall for how they sell you these
hold on,
things,
time.
bro. I'm. Oh man.
relax. So what I'm saying is, in terms of their formula, I know they only did maybe like 75,000, 1,000, or 100,000 pay per view buys, but had they fought when they were undefeated and unknown to the whole world, they probably would have done 10 grand. You see what I'm saying? Uh,
No,
hold on,
no,
hold
they
on.
wouldn't have.
Aspect Errol Spence versus Bud Crawford. That process took whatever long it took, but Errol always told you, I want to clean my side of the street. And the only problem along that process was not him getting three fucking belts, which gives you more power to the negotiation table.
It's seven crash and all that. I know.
Yeah, exactly. The crash and the detached retina were not part of the equation. Had he just been a clean athlete and very disciplined, rather than fucking drinking and fucking up his life and almost dying,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it would have been
Look,
proper.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But what I'm saying is
Wait,
this whole crossing of the street is
hold
what
on.
I'm trying to tell you is this whole crossing of the street is unnecessary because he could have fought Errol Spence
No,
for one of the belts.
whole crossing of the street is necessary because they could have led to having a Manny Pacquiao fight. But what happened along the way is that crash fucked up all the momentum Errol had. Okay, so that
That's
was
why you take
hold on.
what's there.
But that's not because it's over marinated. No, that happens because one fucking fighter couldn't remain disciplined.
Look, that's why you take the fights when they're there. That's
No,
why.
no,
Look, you've
they
said it
fought.
yourself.
Check
One
this out.
time you said,
Had
didn't you
Errol
once
Spence,
say
check this out. Check this out. Had Errol Spence fought Bud Crawford when Errol Spence was wearing all that red flaming hot Cheetos in Oklahoma when Alex Cholo Salcedo fought Maurice Hooker and they met backstage with Bud Crawford. Had they fought right then and there in 2018, 2019, that fight does not do 1 million or
but
700,000
you're thinking,
buys.
I get
Hold on.
that. I get
But
that. But you're thinking about the fighters.
they only probably do probably less than Mikey Garcia. So
Look, I get
but
all that. But you
fighters,
were the first guy to say, you were the first, one of the first guys to say when I proposed. I don't know who it was. I think it was it Shakur Stevens or uh can't remember who it was. But I told you, I go, what does this guy have to do to fight this guy? He doesn't, he doesn't this. It doesn't do anything for the guy's profile. And
listen,
you
I don't know
said
what you're
beat
talking
them
about.
while
Let me
they're
okay,
young. Wait up. You said beat them while they're young because he's only gonna get better with experience,
yeah, but
and
we're
then he's
talking
gonna
about
lose,
prospects
right?
though.
So
So hold on. So
Shakur Stevens is not a prospect.
you're relating two certain different situations. These fighters are already champions. I'm talking about prospects like Keyshawn Davis and Frank Martin and all these guys in company. I'm trying to fight Shakur Stevenson before they becoming champions. You know, when they're 7-0, when I have the best chance to beat them, not when they're fucking 20-0, undefeated and been
And
multi.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. But what
that
I'm trying to tell you is this:
that has
how
nothing to do with this equation
look,
I'm talking about. We're talking
what I'm
about
trying to tell you is the same thing applies.
no,
If
it does not.
Errol Spence had an opportunity, Errol Spence has already been fighting at 147 for about 8 years, and then this Johnny come lately, Terrence Crawford barely makes it to 147 in his first fight or two. He could take that guy before he becomes acclimated and powerful at 147, before he feels in his shoes, and then you could have stopped him before he became the threat that he became.
But
You
see,
take
that's
him while you can.
if you care about Errol Spence winning.
I
I'm
don't. Of
about
course, you care about Errol Spence
no,
winning.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about marinating fights. So there's another. What I'm trying to say is you're trying to say that PBC is consistent with over marinating
What
fights.
I'm trying to tell you is that
If,
marination leads to the
hold on,
kind of mishaps that makes it so that in the future those fights aren't promised.
aren't no promise are going to be there whether they're competitive is a different.
No, Errol Spence didn't have to even live. He could have been dead, and then we would never have seen that fight. You see what I'm saying? When you take those fights whenever you can. Adam Kalnaki did not fight Anthony Joshua. Why? Because he thought that he could marinate it for a little bit more instead of taking the 7 million and becoming a champ right then and there. He decided to fight.
You're a little
Who
bit.
was it? For Hellenius for $100,000.
You're a
Take the
little off.
fights when you can.
Hold on, you're all over the place. Just be consistent. Just relax,
Oh
relax.
man, I gotta go to sleep, bro. You and your consistent. Why don't you do this? Look, on
Listen,
your
so what
community,
I'm
put up
listen.
the definition of what
If you,
the
if you
homie Ricky's
Ryan
consistency term
versus
means.
Davis did not take 4 or 5 years. It only took like a year and a half.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Long story short, bro, I'm gonna go to sleep, bro. You can think about what consistency means to you. I'm telling you, you have an opportunity to fight take the damn fights now. I don't care about the whole theatrics. I don't care about when the timing is right. You're not going to convince me that David Benavidez implant happened at the right time when they could have done it for unification and they were undefeated. You're not going to tell me that Spence and Terence Crawford could have not done it at a better time before Errol Spence became a beaten version of himself. You're not going to tell me that. You're not going to tell me that.
Hold on.
I'm being consistent here.
You can't say that Errol Spence. Look, Errol Spence still broke the face out of Yordenis Ugas.
I don't care. That's your
After
Dennis Ugas. Your Dennis Ugas is not Terence Crawford.
hold on, same Ugas that beat Pacquiao, the same Pacquiao that knocked down Keith Thurman. So what I'm trying to tell you is Errol Spence was still fine after beating Ugas. The
But
problem
none
was,
of those guys is Terence Crawford.
oh, listen, Terence Crawford is a hell of an athlete.
Bro,
Okay,
Terence
it don't
Crawford would destroy
matter.
Ugas.
It don't matter if Errol Spence was 100% car accident, no car accident, detached retina. Bud Crawford still fucking him up.
No, no, nope, nope, nope. You're not gonna tell me that either. You're not gonna tell me that either. You're not gonna tell me that the guy who's on a rampage, breaking bones and breaking eye sockets and ribs, that guy when he's perfectly fresh and he could see from his eyeball and it has all of his teeth and he has all of his neurons in his brain, it's gonna be the same fighter that got his ass beat this last time. No way. No
Yes,
way are you gonna tell me that. No way, bro. No way. This guy would have been a fresher fighter throwing more punches and he wouldn't have been stretching and pulling his punches.
listen,
There's no way,
Errol,
bro. Come on, man. I saw what I saw. I saw
Errol
what I saw.
Spence, when he fought Kell Brook, who was winning that fight?
Look, man, I'm
Whoa,
gonna
whoa, whoa,
go to
whoa, whoa. Answer the
that
question.
one fight has nothing to do with
No,
another
no.
fight,
Listen
bro.
to me. Listen to
Kell Brook is not Terence Crawford.
me. When Errol Spence fought Kell Brook in Sheffield, UK, wasn't Kell Brook beating Errol Spence on the cards?
Unt- um, until he wasn't.
Until basically the last two rounds.
Until he wasn't.
Okay,
So
so
what does that tell you? That
hold on,
means wait up. That means Errol Spence.
I'm
Errol Spence. Wait up. That just means Errol Spence could lose some of the first few rounds, and then guess what? He's gonna destroy you. That could have been. That could have been Errol Spence doing the same thing to Terence Crawford. He could have lost a few rounds, and then he could have destroyed him.
Wasn't Sean Porter giving Errol Spence a tough fight for unification? And hadn't he gotten dropped in the 12th round, maybe it's a split draw.
Maybe, but guess what? Again, you can triangulate fighters.
No.
Just
What I'm trying to show you is, even though
hey, I
Errol
bet
Spence
you
was
already
good
washed
and
your
healthy,
clothing, right?
hold on. Even though Errol Spence was good and healthy, he was still losing a lot of his championship bouts. So
The homie Ricky,
like he
you can
would,
think about.
sort of like
Look,
he would, he just gets you fucking out late.
hey,
He
homie,
to
the
Michael
homie,
Jordan,
the
not gonna
homie, the homie. You're not gonna
listen to
convince me. You're
Ugas.
not gonna convince me
Hold on,
that
hold
the
on.
fights that have been presented to us this year could not have been presented to us a year or two earlier. You're not gonna convince me of that. You're
Well,
not gonna convince
that,
me. You're not,
that's
you're trying to justify some crap fights that have been sold to us at times when when they were not ideal. That's just a fact. That doesn't change because you're trying to make it seem like a loss doesn't matter. Listen, I give fighters chances, but there's nothing better than an undefeated champion fighting another undefeated champion when they're fresh, not beaten, not shop worn, not missing teeth, not having been knocked out. There's a better time for it. That was years ago. That's just the facts, bro.
that's only one fight.
I just gave you two.
One fight. You keep forgetting that Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis fought at a really great time. Aren't
Uh,
aren't those fighters what you just did?
God, you love that
Aren't they
fight, bro. You love the
don't they
Ryan
have their
Garcia and Tank Davis fight,
don't they
bro.
have
I don't.
intact? Don't they have functional eyeballs? But
Look,
yet
you
each other
love that.
that
You
go
love
down the
that
way.
fight. You love that fight, and I
What
never
about
cared for it.
Canelo Alvarez?
Hey,
Don't
bro,
think.
I told you in all of these lives, I never cared for it. You
What
called
about
it an event.
Demetrius Android
Wait up. You called it an
on
event.
on
You
the
called
official?
Ryan Garcia. You called Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis an event, a once in a lifetime experience. You know what I called it? I said an unnecessary fight that does nothing because it doesn't mean anything. That's what I told you. I told you it was an expensive offering from a fighter that's never done nothing to another fighter that's just jumped up and down in weights to fight the weakest links holding baby belts. That's what I told you it was. But you said, oh, these crazy old fighters, they carry these crazy fan bases. I said, I don't care about that. This is
Well,
not the
first
best
of all,
fight.
I never said none of that.
I said that.
Yeah, but
I
you
said that.
said that. I was
You
saying that.
called it an event. You
I
called it an experience. You
yeah,
said we'll never see something like this. That's why it's sounding all crazy.
I never. First and foremost, I never said that, bro.
I'm sure that we have these things recorded on lives, bro.
Bro, all I ever said that it's a good event, a great event between young guns. That's the truth.
Oh, okay. Okay, listen. This is it. Look, I'll get very hyped. I'll get very hyped when I see Tank Davis against Shakur Stevens or she's. You know what? Even Lomachenko. Even Lomachenko. I'll take Lomachenko.
Yeah, I
She's.
would take Tank Davis versus Lomachenko. That's an amazing fight. But dude, Shakur Stevenson fighting Edwin de los Santos. That's an amazing fight as well.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that right there is no different between Ryan Gersha and fucking Tank Davis. Bro, Ryan Garcia knocked out Luke Campbell. Bro, you guys failed to realize how impeccable that was. Lomachenko, Jorge Linares couldn't knock him out. Ryan made him bend the knee the same way Tank. I mean, a lot of people want to say that Ryan quit, but bro, it's not what happened. Tank landed the same body shot that he landed on Mario Barrios. What did Mario Barrios just do to your Dennis Ugas right now? Like just 2 weeks ago? Ryan Garcia, if he continues down this path, he will be, I'm not going to say a great fighter, but he can amount to great things. Now, he's got a tough fighter ahead of him, Oscar Duarte. That's not an easy fight. And if he's able to beat him, man, you guys got to check him out. That kid fights relatively good. And we're talking about, Ryan doing the correct things. That's the correct thing. Except Ryan should have just been a little more patient and fought in like Jojo Diaz after knocking out Javier Tuna Fish Fortuna. Then he could have fought, Williams Zepeda or Mercito Hesta, then go on to fight Tank. Kind of
You
rushed
know
up,
what I'm
but it is what it is.
you know what I'm gonna do? I'm
Um,
gonna go to the live after the Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis fight, and I'm gonna listen to it, and I'm gonna make sure that there's a part where you say that Ryan Garcia quit,
yeah,
and
probably.
then we're gonna talk about consistency.
He
Then we're
probably
gonna talk about consistency.
he did quit because
Oh, then now you're changing your tune. You just said he didn't quit. You said he
he
got
quit.
knocked by a body shot.
My
You
body,
said he got knocked by a body shot. That's what you just said.
but he
And now you
quit.
say he quit. And now you say he quit.
Two truths can exist. He got hit by.
Yeah, all right, bro. Come on. I gotta go to sleep. I'm gonna go to sleep. Um, look, tomorrow's live. I already told you what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna present the news. I'm gonna pick your guys'
You already
brains.
presented the news today, man. You
Yeah,
didn't.
no, no, no. But the news, like everything, it's always solvent. It's always mutable. It changes. The news of today is not the news of tomorrow. The news of today is history for tomorrow. Tomorrow, something new will happen, and we're gonna address it on the Homie Ricky podcast, starring none other but the homie Ricky and Drew, and your interlocutor and your happy um, broadcaster, which is Mister. Listen to me, Warped Speed, homie. It's always a pleasure. I can't believe you, man. I'm mad at you. I wanted to sleep 42 minutes ago, and I kept telling you I gotta go sleep. I gotta go sleep. You can say your consistency, consistency. You wanted to win, consistency. I'm gonna pull out the video where you say Ryan Garcia quit, and
He
then
did,
we're gonna talk about
but it
consistency.
was a very good body shot that made him quit. He said, "No mas. Do not want to get up, Tank. You got this one. Fact. Fact of the matter, man. It's exactly what happened. Hey, on that
You're
note,
the
good night. I will see y'all tomorrow. We're talking about Tim Sue, man. And if Brian Mendoza can pull off that upset.
Bro, yeah, we'll talk about the fights this weekend, which are gonna be hella, uh, very hellacious. Expected to promise violence. I'm very excited for a lot of these. I think a lot of the questions will be answered, including is Tim Sue good enough to become a champion, even though he got the belt on a vacancy, or whether or not the homie Ricky is right when he says that Tim Sue would get pieced up by Jermel Charlo, because
Yeah,
you said
Jamel.
that.
Yeah, dude, Jamel will beat his ass.
All right, good night, buddy.